Nobody understood where I've been. I guess I thought I needed more time to protect my love from potential offense. So I then you came around and you played it cool, but I shut it down. So you took it too, and I'm not surprised by what I found. 'Cause I know I needed something different, and it had to be you. Out the blue, somebody who would listen, and it had to be you. Out of all the people to revive my love, couldn't be just anyone. My baby, it had to be you. I didn't seem to notice that you were checking for me. We were just friends, but we started building trust, and my fragile heart started to bend. Yeah, I should have paid attention. You would have been the obvious choice, but I needed time to see clearly, dig deep and cut through the noise. So then you came around and you played it cool, but I shut it down. So you took it time, and not surprised by what I found. 'Cause I know I needed something different, and it had to be you. Out the blue, somebody who would listen, and it had to be you. Out of all the people to revive my love, couldn't be just anyone. But baby, it had to be you.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Yeah, one more time around. Everything's slowing down, can't control it. Say that you're falling. Right now I need loyalty. It's hard for me to trust you. I've been here before this. I've been through the troubles. It's hard to let you in. I've been giving you the runaround. I double on the dosage. I don't need emotion. No. Right now we young and we dumb and we lit. Been thinking that before we was kids, yeah. I was caught up in the mission, yeah. And we live for the moment, respond to a calling. It's bigger than all of us, right to the wheels. Get anything to feel something new. High if I fall, no, I did it going all in. At the time of my life, right for the squad. The lights through the fog, but we made it, yeah. I'll be good by the morning. I feel like I'm falling. It feel like I'm falling. It feel like I'm falling. It feel like I'm falling. Real eyes see real eyes, real shit, real life, real rare. I'm on edge, I make noise, they all is, no cap, all facts. Eyes low, but I'm still woke. No patience, heart glacier, can't see the young ghost, phone blare, overbear. Shit a blessing that I overcherish. Cause these rap niggas eyes open glaring, cause they overjealous. I'm so overzealous. Whiskey side with the rosemary. They used to want it, not a host there. And that was back before I could afford a care. Now we on course to take the tour to Paris. I blew up the bag, they hit me as bad. The guy from the racks that they chastise. They can fast die, telling mad lies. Going back, tell them get they act right. On my last light, I poured a potion, I've been out of orbit. I've been moving slowly, got me going up. They got my head clouded. I've been good by the morning. At the time of my life, Ride for the squad, no lights through the fog, but we made it, yeah. I'll be good by the morning. Feel like I'm falling. It feel like I'm falling. Feel like I'm falling.
Hey, good morning, family. Thank you for being here. Please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. I'll say it again, when you share the show, more people see it. On today's show, I plan on covering numerous things, but at the top of the show, I want to talk about 3 things that you might have missed from the last CPS board member. Now, there might be different opinions about this, but in my humble opinion, the number one news story is what's happening in terms of public health, and in particular, what's happening with the Cincinnati public schools. Now, if you missed any of our conversation from last week, this will be somewhat of an update, but I got a chance over the weekend to go back and view, in some cases twice, the entirety of the, I won't say it was televised, but it was streamed a live school board meeting. If you missed it, all you got to do is go to Google, type in Cincinnati Public School Board, and then it's right on their front page. You can check it out for yourself. They actually posted it to YouTube. And after I went over it a second time, what I realized, there was things that I missed that I'm wondering if you missed, some things that are worthy of being highlighted. We'll discuss that. Plus, a smattering of other topics on people, politics, and pleasure. In particular, Black people, Black politics, Black pleasure. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. Coming up in about 60 seconds. Just want to give you a little bit more time to like and in particular share the show. I need you to help me to let more people know and expose people about the show and what we're doing with CDM. Plus, I've got an update, something exciting that CDM has been cooking for a while. I'll get you all the information coming up in about 60 seconds. Please like and in particular share today's show. Don't go anywhere.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Yeah, talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand.
I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming down my roof, leaving. Don't give a I don't care. Did the for my lonesome. No wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share. Get on my God, on my totem, it's nothing. In the discussion, for them feelings I throw on my pain on percussion. It's disgusting. I hear them bragging about that they did, and it do not move me, not in the least. They ain't been dropping no seeds in the sub, but swear that you almost spotted the feast. I've been on go mode, show mode, showboat, rowboat, wave ride.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Nate Ivey with you. Make sure I'm looking right, correct, properly on the screen. All that kind of broadcast stuff that you want to make sure you take care of. And then we'll pull the screen up. There we go. Hold on one second. What? That ain't right. Hold on, let's do it again. Back up. Yeah, we'll get it back up. Give me 1 second. I know you can hear me. There we go. How are you? Yeah, we back in the building. We back. They can't stop it. Good morning to you. Hopefully you had a great weekend. And as always, it's my pleasure to be with you. Broadcasting live from a secret location for most. So a few didn't know that we broadcast from a certain location. There we go. Let's put the new logo up. There it is. I like them colors. I like that. Good morning to you. Okay, yeah. Folks, messages coming in already. Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, this is me. It's me. Welcome back to the show. The Nathan Ivey Show, Cincinnati's first daily digital Black focused talk show. And we talk about things that are happening in Cincinnati. Primarily, that's where my wheelhouse is. That's where all my connects is. That's where my family is. That's where I do what I do. That's where the majority of our foundation of our audience is. But of course, We've got people that listen all over the tri-state area. They listen all over Ohio, all over the country. And when people travel, all over the globe, all over the globe. Good morning to you. Don't you just love the internet? I know I do. I know I do. How was your weekend? Let me back up here, man. How was my weekend? Damn it, it seems like these days just blur together. They really do. Go back. We had a great show, I thought, on Friday. Had a good show, strong show. Over the weekend, just in the lab, cooking up a few things, connected with podcasters so we can upgrade what we do on a production level. Got a chance to shoot a promotional video for a podcast that we're doing here with CDM. Spend a lot of time with the fam, with my son who wants to play Marvel superheroes with me. So I've got to do that. I watched a little bit of football yesterday. I must admit it was on while I was doing other things. I did pay attention to it. So we now know that the New England Patriots, not the New England Patriots. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their veteran quarterback, Tom Brady, will be the first ever team in the Super Bowl history to host the Super Bowl. The first time it's ever happened in NFL history where the team that's the host city for the Super Bowl will be in the Super Bowl, Tampa Bay, and they'll be facing off against the defending NFL champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, I love it when a champion comes back and gets a chance to defend their title. I love it. That's what the championship should be all about. So that'll be a lot of fun. For some of you that know my personal story, the Super Bowl is very, it has a different meaning to me now. Not because of the game itself, but I'll say it again. I had a heart attack Super Bowl February 2nd of 2020. So now it's a year later. And I'm here to tell you that I did exactly what I was supposed to do and more in terms of my health. So I'm very proud of myself. And in terms of completely transforming my lifestyle, my relationship with food, my relationship with myself, the discipline that you build in terms of, you know, taking care of your own body is quite amazing. And I will say that there are difficult moments where you kind of like want to fall back into your old way of doing things. But when you're dealing with death or some kind of food, again, I'm not leaving this world over no damn hot dogs. I'm not leaving this world over alcohol. You know what I'm saying? There's no food, drink, or whatever in this world that I care more about than being here for my family. I got a 6-year-old boy who looks up to me. I got to be here for him. So this year, I'm looking forward to it because I'm going to look back and chart my progress in terms of what I've done in terms of my own personal safety. And why am I sharing this with you? Because nobody in the world could have told me, family, that would happen to me. So I feel like I have a testimony to share with my audience members. Okay, I want you to be your healthiest, the healthiest version of yourself you can be. Because if it can happen with me, again, I'm catching oops with both hands. You know what I'm saying? On the fast break. You know what I'm saying? Super top healthy. You know what I'm saying? So if it can happen to me after not staying on top of your game, you know, your body for many years, it can happen to you. So take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, family. That's all I can say. It can happen just like that. Just like that. Heart disease is killing Black people. It's killing all people, but heart disease is taking Black men out. It's taking Black women out. Learn from me. And if you need any tips, I'm an open book to my audience members. Just send me a message. I will respond immediately because I care. I want you to be around. All right, 513-873-7134. Hold on, we still got that color up from the Dope Chicks yesterday. Oh, yeah, I want to share something with you, just a little bit of a tease as well about something that CDM is working on that you'll hear about very, 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 very soon. Plus, new podcast. We need to get to it. I know I've been teasing for a while. I'm ready to get to the choppers with all of it. Let me see here. Okay, here it is. Good morning to you. Now, what's on your radar screen? What have you been dealing with over the last, let's say, weekend? What's at the top of your list? I'd love to hear it. I love to hear it. You can always chime in at 513-873-7134. All I ask is that you open your mind before you open your mouth. If not, a tick with the flick of my wrist. I ain't got time for it, homie. There we go. I ain't got time for it. You on that dumb ish? I'll holler at you. Simple as that. No hard feelings. I ain't got time for it. That goes for any and all persons. Okay. All right. I want to give you this morning 3 things just to kick off. 3 things that you might have missed from the last CPS board member meeting. And I actually want to play for you some of the audio. I mean, if you didn't watch it in its entirety, it is worth your time. It is worth your time. People are heated. But you also got a sense of getting a sense from where the board members are coming from. Now, I spoke with Pam Bowers last week on Wednesday, and I went back and I listened to the interview, and I had a lot of people that listened to the interview and hit me up with direct messages and gave me their thoughts. And across the board, there was disappointment, quite honestly, from her answers. And there's still a lot of question marks out there. And I know there's people out there, and I think this is just I don't take it personally. You know, I come ready to defend where I come from. It don't matter whose opinion it is or who it is. I know how I feel. And when you're right, you can't be shaken. You know, it don't matter who thinks what. But I know there's some people out there who are like, well, Nate, you say that because you're working from home. And I think they're really missing a lot of that. I think that's the nature of people to try to make some sense out of it. And sometimes the most obvious and most logical thing is right in front of you, and people can miss it. It was very interesting. I mean, you had parents and teachers, a lot of teachers. And you had teachers that one teacher said she was leaving the district. She was down at Riverview East Academy. I'll play the audio for you. You might have missed it. She said, I'm out the door before you can retaliate against me. I mean, white female teacher. So it is real. It is real. But see, one thing from the top that you might have missed from the CPS school board meeting is that, and this is more of a question mark, we'll have to wait and see what happens, is that CPS was currently in virtual. So if you go back and you look at that meeting from Wednesday, the 20th, January 20th, they're all at home or wherever their offices. Looked like many of them were at home. I'm not sure where Laura Mitchell was. That's the school superintendent, black female. But they all appear to not be in the same room. And my question would be, and I wonder, we'll have to wait and see, we'll find out, is, so what's the school board's plan? So if their plan is that you don't have to abide by the 6 feet rule, that 3 feet is enough, are they going to abide by those same rules when it comes to their board meetings? Or are they going to remain virtual? I think that would be a bad look. I mean, for me, if you're going to be a leader, then leadership should not ask of anybody what they're not willing to do. So I have to wait and see with that, you know, and I'll reach out. We got Carolyn Jones coming on the show this week. I think it's Wednesday or Thursday. Let me double check. I think it's Wednesday. We'll talk with Carolyn Jones. She's a school board president, black female Democrat. And I've reached out to the other school board members as well. And I'll let you know, when we get a response. It's quite interesting. Each and every one of them, I want to know what you think. And when we talked with Pam last week, she did dispel a lot of misinformation out there, because there was people in the audience like, well, they had to do this, Nate. Pam said her decision was made, had nothing to do with the governor whatsoever. She made that based upon some other information. They had to do this, Nate. They got no options. Well, no, they do have an option. And if you go back and look at that school board member meeting from the 20th, it was what I'm saying is what the teachers were saying. What I've been saying is what a lot of parents have been saying. And I didn't realize that until, again, that's my second time watching it. I watched a lot of it live, but when you watch it a second time, you get a chance to see like some of the subtle things, some of the small things, you can soak it in and absorb it better. I would highly encourage anyone who's concerned about this to go watch it before you react, before you call in and before you chime in. You should go watch it, because what you'll see is, it's just, it just happens to logically line up that way, is that a lot of things that I've been saying, the teachers are saying. And in terms of the teachers, I think that's one thing that I think a lot of these complaining ass, whining ass parents, because that's what I call them. People say, oh, Nate, you wrong to say that. I don't give a damn. I said what I said. I meant it. You don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I hear a lot of whining and belly aching and complaining because you can't take care of your own children. It is what it is, family. And what I think a lot of these whining ass, complaining ass, belly aching parents are forgetting is that the irony is so thick on this, is that you're putting teachers' lives at risk. And you don't care about that because you want to go to work. So what I hear from some parents, and I posted something on my Facebook page and somebody responded. She's like, well, I'm glad they're going back. And again, we can all have our opinions. I'm glad they're going back. And Nate, you got to work from home, you and your wife, and blah, 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 blah. I love how people try to make it personal. Do you? And then, I got to work. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. So because you got to work, you want to put the teachers' lives at risk for you, for your child. That's fair. So that's not harsh, though. It's not harsh to put these men and women's lives in jeopardy before they get vaccinated. But it's harsh for me to tell parents that you're responsible for your kids. We living in the last days of common sense, my friends. That don't make no damn sense at all to me. It don't make no sense at all. But people say I'm harsh. Well, then I'm harsh then. So what? It is what it is. Sometimes death is harsh. Getting COVID-19 is harsh. Yeah, that's harsh. Not being able to breathe is harsh. So yeah, okay, if it's harsh, it is what it is. That's what you get with the Nathan Ivey Show. You get fearless, and tearless, full frontal commentary. It is what it is. We are where we are. So again, for these parents out here that will call in or send text message to me, what am I supposed to do when I go to work? Make it happen, Captain. Because that's what you're telling the teachers. And the teachers didn't give birth to these children. You did. You did. So I just think it's really unfair. I think people need to get out of their personal feelings and look at the totality of it. Think about what's best for everybody in general and not necessarily about you. Now, I understand, your world and your viewpoint. Like I have to worry about this household. Despite what anybody says, ain't nobody showed up with no food. Ain't nobody showed up and said, hey, Nate, you need a break. I'm going to come take, because they ain't coming because they're at their home taking care of their house. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the real world. I don't expect anything different. So that's what I will say to these parents. Like, and I think I posted, I'm going to check out the response. I'm not sure if they responded on my Facebook page, but that's what I will say to these whining ass, complaining ass, belly aching parents, and it came out in that school board member, you might've missed it, but it was a white female who called out a Facebook group. She was like, the majority of the people in this CPS parent group are rich, wealthy white folks from Hyde Park. Now, I'm not in this particular parent group, so I don't know. But I have heard that some of the louder voices and people get real cynical and start to get critical about these kind of things are coming from some of the wealthier parents, white parents, more affluent parents, which is not the general sort of like representation of the parents. If you look at who those children are, they Black kids. So I'm in particular interested in what Black families think, because we represent the majority of the parent body. I don't care how much money you make. You the majority. So what you think? I thought it was also interesting, and you might have missed it, that they didn't take any teacher input. And by they, I'm talking about CPS board. And they didn't take any parent input in the decision. Why not? I don't get that. Maybe it's because it becomes too difficult. When you arrive at a conclusion, you want to roll with that. And all that other stuff can just make your decision that you want to make anyway a little bit more difficult. So it was very, very, very interesting to me. I've got the audio already queued up. We'll play some of it for you so you can get a sense of it. I think it's really, really important, and I think I maintain what I've been saying to parents. I mean, what can you do between now and next week? But what you can do is do your best to try to build up the natural immunity in your own body and your natural immunity in the body of your children. Okay, there are things that you can incorporate into your diet, right, that can help to build up your good gut biotics. The frontline defense of your immune system is in your gut. It's in your stomach. It's good gut biotics. There are things that you can do, okay, that can help to build that up. The foods that you eat play a big impact, a big role in your overall health. Okay, I can get deeper in it. But again, if you want to hit me with direct message, I will freely share with you. There are things, you're not without things that you can do. There are things, exercising on a regular basis. Studies show us that people that are exercising on a regular basis are more resistant to COVID and are more or less likely to suffer serious side effects from getting COVID. Are you exercising on a regular basis? Getting out and walking on a regular basis? These are things that are within our control. We can do this. You can still be quarantined or isolated and still get out there and hit up a park or walk around your block 15, 20, at least 30 minutes a day to help build up your body's natural defenses, because we are moving forward. I mean, at this point, CPS has made a decision. They did not listen to Mike Murawski. And it was 6-1 vote. He was the only person to vote to say, hey, maybe we can start in March. There's really no, I went back and watched it again. I went back and researched what the governor's commands are. I'll say it again. Mike DeWine don't give a damn about you. Mike DeWine cares about his brethren in the Republican Party more than he does you. That's just my opinion. He cares about being reelected, but that's about it. He certainly don't care about black folks. That's for damn sure. That task force has already been disbanded. That whole economic, black minority health strike force, they've already ended. There is no minority health strike force. It's already been disbanded. They did their job. Their job was just look like they did something and make a few recommendations. But how do you have a strike force that ends when the pandemic and the disparities are still going on? It makes no sense. But see, that's how they get you. That's how they get you. They get certain people and they put you on these committees and they put you in charge of this and that. And that pays for your silence because everybody wants to be on the blue ribbon committee and be a part of this group and this group. I've seen it firsthand in my daughter's school. As soon as parents start doing whatever, woo, hey, yeah, we're going to do a parent group. I'm going to put you in charge. Ooh, I'm in charge? Now, you're a part of the system. So you're going to be quiet about it because on an individual basis, they're going to take care of your issues. So now you're less likely to go as hard at those same individuals because you're part of the game now. I've seen it over and over and over again. That's how the game is played. And it works pretty good. It works pretty damn good. 513-873-7134 if you'd like to share your thoughts. Some more news that you can possibly use that you might care about before we get into the audio and start going to the audience in terms of your comments and questions and things like that is COVID relief checks. Raise your hand if an extra $1,400 would be a benefit to you and your family. Raise your hand. Would you like to know the latest? Okay. Well, the latest as it relates to the COVID relief package is it looks like the Democrats are going to use something called budget reconciliation. So essentially, this would be a legislative device that will allow them to vote on a COVID relief package in the U.S. Senate and only use a simple majority. Okay? It's a way around it of only using a simple majority. Okay? Bernie Sanders did an interview over the weekend. I got a chance to watch it. He said this is what the Senate Democrats are planning. Now, this is the reason why Georgia was so important. The reason why Georgia is so important because when those two Senate seats went to Democrats, that means that the Democrats now have a majority with Kamala Harris coming down, right? Straight from Wakanda with her black designer outfit on, right? She had a black designer she was wearing for the inauguration. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. It looks like the Democrats are going to press the panic button, if you want to call it. They're trying to get this money because they're trying to release the checks as quickly as possible. And you got some Democrats out there playing games. You got some Republicans out there playing games. You might, Joe Manchin from West Virginia's name comes up. You got Republicans now who are like, you know what? Do people really need $1,400? I don't think they do. But yet all rich people needed a tax break. So when it comes to giving people money to the working class, you got some of these elected officials who are like, they want to get all Doogie Howser and start thinking about it. Like they want to get super Poindexter about it. Like, let's think about this. But when it comes to giving rich people across the board a tax break, we all for it. Makes sense. Out of here. Ridiculous. So look for that. Look for the Democrats to use that process to fast track the checks. And I say, hooray, hooray, bravo. Hooray, hooray. You got people out there in the gig economy who are not making as much money. You got people who, have had to step away from their work in some cases because they have to take care of their children. Release the checks. Help the people. Help the people. Help the people. Simple as that. And if the Democrats don't come through, then voters, and in particular black voters, are not going to come through for them in 2022. That's exactly what Bernie Sanders said in a recent interview over the last week, which I got a chance to catch up with. I feel the same way. Release the checks. Release the checks. I don't want to hear nothing else. Release the checks, man. Simple as that. 513-873-7134. That is my number. If you want to call into the show this morning, you know the door is always open. I'm down with it. You can share your thoughts. Where we at here? Yeah. That works. Good morning to you. So just to give you an update, I know everybody's worried about not worried about, or some cases worried about, but a lot of people are focusing and looking to see what the Democrats are going to do with their new majority. They need to go super hard. They need to go ham. They need to go hard as a mother. That's what they need to do. Hard. Do it. Go hard, because that's what the Republicans do. They go super hard. That's what the Democrats should do. Local news. Anybody see Chris Silbach? Chris Silbach made news over the weekend because he called out Dusty Rhodes. Apparently, Dusty Rhodes, he tweeted something about transgenders. People who are transgender. And then Chris Silbach, who is a current member of City Council and is running for mayor, he's announced that. He told Dusty Rhodes to F off. Hamilton County auditor stirs social media fury with transphobic tweet. Dusty Rhodes tweeted, "I want to be there when the first suburban Republican woman who wouldn't vote for President Trump learns her teenage daughter will now have to share her locker room with biological males." And so, there's a real concern about that. You know how I feel about it. I've been straight honest with you. I mean, no, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. But now I've been reading that the Democrat Party is upset about it. He's a Democrat and they're rethinking their affiliation with him. He's up for re-election in 2022. And his name keeps coming up. He was the same guy who talked about black babies. He tweeted this back in June of 2020. "Just wondering when they are going to paint Black Lives Matter on Auburn Avenue. In front of that one building where they terminate black lives and white ones too, almost every day of the week." So apparently he's like a really pro-life, very conservative guy. And he's using his Twitter, to get his viewpoint out there. That's how he feels. I reached out to Dusty Rhodes, but I didn't get a response back. I don't expect a response. Because I just felt like if you're going to talk about Black Lives Matter and black babies and you're non-black, then you should be about that life. You should be actually doing something beyond just tweeting here in the tri-state area. I didn't get a response back. I don't expect a response back either. But what do you think? There's a few things that may or may not be on your radar screen this morning that I wanted to share with you. Let me get inside the chop shop, shall we? Pat writes, good morning. Good morning to you, Pat. Cassandra writes, "Hey, choppers." Good morning to you, Cassandra. Ashley writes, "Good morning, Nathan and the choppers." Good morning to you, Ashley. Baby Miana, happy birthday to her. Ray writes here. Miss D writes, "Greetings." Tracy writes, "Hi. Can we talk about the Hank Aaron taking the vaccine and dying days later?" Yeah, we can. Hank Aaron, a lot of folks know who he is, or maybe you don't, but Hank Aaron died over the weekend. It was announced. AKA Hammerin' Hank. He was an American professional baseball player from the 50s through the 70s. He died a couple days after. Was it a couple days, I think, Tracy? It was a couple days after he took the coronavirus. Apparently, he was sick with it. He got the vaccine, then he died. And it doesn't bode well for people out there trying to convince folks to take the vaccine and that it's safe, because you keep hearing these kind of stories. So, very, very sad. Health experts urge confidence in vaccine after superstars' deaths. That's from Atlanta News Now. Yeah, Hank Aaron and other African-American leaders invited reporters to watch them receive COVID-19 as an immunization. Let me show you. This is a picture of Hank Aaron actually getting the vaccine. Okay. And so there's a huge media campaign out there right now to try to convince black people to sign to get the vaccine. That's Hank Aaron. That's an actual picture of Hank Aaron before he died getting the vaccine. And he took his COVID-19 immunization shots back on January 5th. He said he did so to help spread the word to millions that the vaccine is safe. And then he died. He told reporters that, quote unquote, it felt good. That's what he told reporters. Okay, Hank. Okay, Hank. Yeah, okay, Hank. Yeah, like I know for a fact here in the city, and I've seen it, and I've talked with some of the folks behind it here in the tri-state area, and I get it. I get it, but some people in terms of, and especially black people are just not feeling it. They just ain't feeling it. They don't trust the government. They don't trust the vaccine. The whole process happened too quickly. And I think it's going to take more than getting a whole lot of publicly famous black people, locally famous black people to get the vaccine to really reach some people. Because that's a bad look. That's a real bad look. So he take it back in January, then he dies of COVID or COVID-related symptoms. That ain't a good look right there. That is not a good look. So it backfired, quite honestly. The whole intent from him doing it publicly, and I showed the image of you or to you of that situation, was for him to like, hey, I took it. Hammer and Hank took it, y'all. I'm okay. Mission not accomplished. Not accomplished. It had the exact opposite impact. Sharp writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Tracy writes, last night was a good night. You know, Tracy shared with us last week on Friday that she has COVID right now. She says, last night was a good night. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear it. Brenda writes, happy Monday. Mike Jones writes, good morning, Choppers. Ray writes, good to hear. Ray writes, Dusty is reckless in his rhetoric. Dusty is reckless in his rhetoric. Well, I'll be honest with you. I disagree with Chris Silbach. So, for instance, you know, I have concern about my daughter sharing bathrooms with transgender boys. Now, that makes me bigoted, then so be it, but I don't think that's bigoted at all. So I would disagree with Chris Silbach in terms of calling Dusty Rose a bigoted piece of trash. You know, just because there are people out there that have concerns that you might have school-age people. Let's say you got a school-age person that was born a boy. They've gone through no operations whatsoever. They just identify as a girl, so they're transgender. And then they're using the same restroom as biological girls. I don't think that makes you bigoted to have a concern about that. I don't. At the same time, I don't believe that transgender boy athletes should be able to compete as girls in athletic competitions because biologically they're physically superior. Now, that makes me bigoted, then so be it, but there's nothing bigoted about that. Those are real life concerns. You know, I can make the argument that actually is more bigoted to try to not listen to those concerns, quite honestly. So I disagree with Chris Silbach on this. I don't think that's necessarily bigoted. My issue with Dusty Rose with the whole Black Lives Matter thing is that if you care about black babies as a non-black person, what are you doing other than trying to make these goofy parallels between Black Lives Matter and the abortion of black babies? What are you doing to help the situation beyond that? You are an elected official. So that was my issue with that. It was something different. But in terms of him making some little smarmy, you might say sophomoric, you might say it was you might say that it was beneath him as a grown-up. You might say that you should expect more from an elected official. You might say a lot of things, but I'm not registering what he said as bigoted. Now, I know Chris Silbach is openly homosexual, and I do know that at some point he was like the CEO of a nonprofit locally that was dealing with transgender children, and I think that's great work. You know, I think everybody should be supported. You know, in my opinion, I think if you're transgender, you could be able to. I would vote for somebody who's transgender for elective office. Depends on your platform and who you run against and what's going on. I ain't got no problem with it. I think we need to protect people. At the same time, I think there are some real issues out there about, you know, what that line is and what's fair and equitable to everybody, you know, as the transgender community. becomes more prominent and their issues become more more to the forefront. But I disagree with Chris Silbach. I didn't see anything in that was necessarily bigoted, in my opinion, because there are people that have that concern. But I think it touched the nerve with Chris Silbach because that's something that's really, really close to him. Like I said, he was a CEO of a nonprofit that was dealing with transgender issues and teenagers. And I forget the name of it. I don't think he's doing that work anymore. But, like I said, my point is that this is something he really cares about. So it triggered him. But I ain't triggered by it. I mean, I think Dusty Rhodes people keep voting for him, so he must be doing something right. I think he should be called to task on some of the things that he says. I think he should explain that in terms of what that actually means in great detail. Okay. And I don't think that one has anything to do with the other. Like, because you didn't vote for Donald Trump, I don't understand how that has anything to do with transgender folks. So I think there's some leaps in his logic. But, if Chris Silbach thinks that somebody who feels as if there are concerns about biological, girls and or boys being in the locker room or being in the restroom with a biological person of the other gender who identifies as their same gender, then I guess it's a lot of bigoted people out there. I just disagree with that. So that's my take on it, period, point blank. What do you think? 513-873-7134. Tracy writes, Dusty won't be reelected. They said that back in 4 years ago, right? We'll see. We'll see. He just needs to take my check, process it, and shut the F up. Maybe Twitter needs to ban him. I don't know. Cassandra writes, the only way I'm getting the vaccine is if they give me the water they're giving all the elected officials, because they ain't taking that test dummy vaccine. Right. I saw a video over the weekend where people were like, there's nothing in the vial. And somebody was sitting there getting the vaccine, and it appeared that there was nothing in the actual sort of vial or whatever, that the tube, whatever it's called, that they actually administer or inject the vaccine from. I don't know. Ray writes, perhaps trans should get their own league of whatever they're trying to do. I think it's unfair for a transgender male to compete in girls track. That's like happened. And it was like two transgender black males, now females. They haven't gone through any hormone therapy, at least at that point, as I read it. I'm not sure where they are now with it. But these two men, these two young boys, should I say, because they weren't men, they were school age, were competing in high school girls track. And guess what happened? They went to the state championship, set new records. How the hell is that fair? And why would you even want to do that? Huh? That didn't make no sense. Like, whoa, that makes you feel good about yourself? I really won't even want to carry the medals because I'm out here beating physically inferior competition. Who gets anything out of that? So I don't know, but I don't think it's bigoted. So I guess Chris Silbach would say I'm being bigoted right now. Well, so be it. He and I will argue on that. And, when I reach out to him, I want to come on the show to talk about the mayor spot. I'll bring it up to him. We can argue about it or whatever, because I feel very strongly about how I feel about it. It is what it is. Pam writes, good morning, all. Good morning to you, Pam. She writes, I'm against the vaccine too, but it becomes a requirement. But if it becomes a requirement to get on the plane, more of us will have a choice, right? Yo, Nate, since you're speaking on teachers, speak on Chicago's teachers union. Okay, I'll talk about that as well. Good morning to you, 513-873-7134. Please like, and in particular, share this, family. I want to talk about 3 things that you might have missed from the last school board meeting. It was on Wednesday. You can find it on the school board's website. It is hella interesting. And I want to kick it off with this sister. There was a sister. Now, the first thing I want you to observe is this, and I want you to keep this in mind, and I'll be asking all the school board members in my follow-up conversations with them. We're scheduled to speak with Carolyn Jones on, I believe, Wednesday. Is it Wednesday or Thursday? I have to double check my notes. I believe it's Wednesday at about 9 a.m. approximately. She's a school board president, black female Democrat. And so one of my many questions is, so what's the plan of the school board? Is the school board going to remain virtual? Because that's a lack of leadership, sis. How are you going to tell us as parents and all the staff and all these concerned teachers, and there are a lot of concerned teachers, man, y'all got to watch that. Don't take my words for it. Watch it yourself. What? Watch it yourself. Watch it yourself. Okay? Don't take my word for it. Watch it yourself. And what you'll see is there's a lot of concerned parents. These are the people who are just like you and me, who have children in CPS system. And there are a lot of very, 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 very anxious teachers that are working in all types of students, all types, special ed, kindergarten, high school. It runs the gamut. And they're all saying the same thing, that they're concerned and they don't understand why CPS board would send them back before they get vaccinated. And there's really no good reason. I didn't hear any good reason from Pam Bowers whatsoever, and it was very disappointing. I didn't hear any good reason. It was just like, this is what I'm going to do. I said what I said. I'm like, wait, this is all you got for us? So you got a choice between starting in February and starting in March, which is 28 days, Black History Month. And you can't tell us why? I feel it's safe. Why? Well, because the governor changed from the new studies say that you can be safe with 3 feet opposed to 6 feet. And I feel like we got the staffing in place. Huh? Yeah, that's it. Huh? It really logically doesn't make any sense. And I'm glad to see it's not just me. You can go check it out for yourself. You can check it out for yourself. There were at least 2 parents, and not parents, but they were, one was a parent from Walnut Hills who said, I want my kids to go back. I think you're doing the right thing. Then there was another parent as well who said it. There was both white males that I saw on the stream. Everybody else was like, hell no. Why are we doing this? It don't make sense. And I think that's important. And so the way they set it up is that the board and superintendent do their presentation. They come out, they say what they have to say, and then they open it up for the public after that. That's the way it works. But I want you to hear this from this parent. It's a Black female parent. And she says that her son has an IEP. And nobody's talking about this. So everybody wants to get caught up in their personal feelings, talking about, I got to go back to work. But nobody's really talking about whether this is the best way to do it and whether it really makes sense. Nobody's really breaking it all the way down the way we do here on the Nathan Ivey Show. Nobody's really breaking it all the way down the way it really needs to be done. Okay, so let me play this for you in a second so you can hear what this parent had to say. It's quite interesting. Check this out.
I have 2 students. I'm a parent. I have 2 students. One goes to Hartwell. One goes to Woodward High School. To me, I feel like the kids shouldn't go back to school yet, because they'll go back to school for 2 days and go virtual learning. And my son has an IEP, and he will not get the attention he needs for school. And to me, that's a setback. So y'all basically setting my son up for failure if y'all send these kids back to school when he got 5 days of learning, when he can go to school. And if he go to school for 2 days, he only gonna get 2 days of help when he can get 5 days of learning.
So think about that for a second. Think about what she's saying. So now she said, look, now you're reducing the learning time for my child. Isn't it really about all the learning time? Are we gaining more or losing more with this plan with CPS? I think it's worthy some time this morning. I mean, just take a listen to what she has to say.
To me, I feel like it's a waste of time. And my son has health issues. He will not go back to school regardless, because my son is not going to get COVID. So whatever the decision is, y'all need to take into factor that a lot of kids do have health issues, especially the ones with asthma and all the other stuff. Our kids are more liable to get COVID before anybody else. And I work in the health field. I have to do so much before I can even come home to see my child. So it doesn't make any sense to send these kids back when you can wait 28 days to send them back. Wait till March 1st to send them back. I'm done. That's it. I don't have nothing else to say.
I mean, again, and that's why I was putting it to the questions to Pam the way I did. It seems like you have more to gain by waiting 28 days all the way around, from the parents and the teachers, all the way around. So why not? And she couldn't really give me an answer. Her answer was, well, I think it's safe. Why? You telling me it's better to go back in February than March. Why? I think it's safe. Why, sis? I think it's safe. Why, sis? I think it's safe. I mean, go back and check it out. Check it out for yourself. But that's not really an answer. That's not really an answer. And again, you got all these. Let's take it away from the parents. What about the teachers? It's like nobody cares about. I got a direct message from a bus driver, anxious as hell. He's like, Nate, we ain't even talking about what we got to deal with. We ain't talking about how we got to transport these kids to and from school. Are the kids going to be able to maintain 3 feet on the bus? Probably not. And then the bus driver was telling me a lot of the things that he had to deal with. Hey, what's up? What's up, LeMaine? The bus driver was telling us a lot of things that they have to deal with in terms of when they were in school last year that nobody's talking about. And so the parents, the people that want to go back to school, they're trying to reduce this. They want to reduce it to what the governor said. I don't give a damn about what the governor said. You mean that dude that don't care about us? That dude? I don't give a damn about what he said. Well, now they went from 6 feet to 3 feet. And then it just seems like a damn game. So my question for each and every one of these board members is, number one, do you have children that go to CPS? Do you have skin in the game? And if you're asking these teachers to go back into the fire, are you willing to go back into the fire? Are you going to be going to these schools? You the board member, you should have to go to the school and deal with it as well. At the very least, y'all should be having in-person meetings at Mayerson. If you're going to open up the schools, if it's cool to go back to school, it's cool to open up Mayerson for public meetings again, then, right? Right? Fair is fair. If the teachers and the parents have to deal with 3 feet, then y'all should have to deal with 3 feet. Are you going to do that? Now, maybe the answer is yes, I don't know. But that's just a question. How you going to sit in virtual and then force the teachers to go back in class? That ain't leadership. That ain't leadership. That's bullshit. That's what that is. That's straight up bullshit. That's bullshit. Not leadership. I'm just saying. So the most obvious observation I took when I tuned in was they're all sitting at home talking about how they're going to send everybody back to class. Huh? Then why are you at home then? Why are you at home, Carolyn? Why are you at home, Pam? Why are you at home, Melanie? Why are you at home, Ben? Why are you at home then? Make that make sense for me. It don't compute. It must not be safe, huh? See, like I said, it's one thing to send other people's into the fire. It's another to go into the fire yourself. But I mean, less of me, more of you. Here's another parent. Hear what she had to say.
And Walnut Hills. I find it a little bit funny that everybody's saying they want to hear from the Walnut parents, but I don't get responses to emails. Look, I wrote this whole big thing to read, but you guys have blown everything up. And I literally I can't even function at this point because I don't understand how, A, you're sending kids back when there's a virus that's 70% more transmissible, and B, you're telling parents that their only option is the CDA, which I am pretty sure we've already gone through and told you is not an equitable choice. We can go back to that discussion for the 8,000th time, but I'm not sending my kids there. I'm not sending my kids back into the building. So I hope you guys are cool with the sick out because that's what's going to happen. Next in line, I really need a show of hands to see how many of you have met in person with Matt Sample and gotten input from him on a face-to-face basis or campaign contributions. Cincinnati is becoming notorious for pay to play.
Hold on. Who is Matt Stample? What is she talking about? Pay to play. I'm curious. I don't even know who Matt Stample is. Do you know who Matt Stample is? What is she talking about? Okay, well, let me ask the question. How many of the board members have met with Matt Stample? I don't even know who Matt Stample is. What is she talking about? Anybody got some insight on that? Like I said, there was a lot in this to unpack. Local media is not doing its job. That's why we're here. They're not doing their job effectively. They're doing these little gloss over stories, but they're not getting deep with it. They're not getting deep with it like we are this morning, asking the questions that we're asking. Who is Matt Stample? I don't know. That name sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't really call it. Maybe you do. What is this? This is a white female. What is she talking about? What is she talking about? I am so curious now. I'm super duper curious. Hey, Brother Drop, how you doing, man? Hey, Brother Drop, how you doing? I'm doing great, man. Hey, listen, can you give me maybe 2 minutes and I'll bring you straight on? So you can hold on or call me back. Sure. Sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, for sure. That's Brother Drop. Sounds like something, some news. I'm down with it. But who is Matt Stamper? What is this woman talking about? Y'all know who that is? What is she talking about? How? Has somebody been meeting with school board, influencing them? She said pay to play. What is she talking about? Pay to play. What is she talking about? I'm curious.
I'm over it. I'm not on it. So figure that out. Talk to each other. I know it's happened. I've seen screenshots. Let's have an open and honest dialogue about that. Y'all, you got me worked up. March. That's all we're asking for. Let the teachers get the vaccine, and I will happily send my kids back into the building. So can we please go back to Mr. Morowski's question about can we please reconsider the timeline? Because we are so close. We're so close. And if anybody dies, it's going to be on you guys.
Yeah, she said if anybody dies, it's going to be on you. It's going to be on you. Now, what am I doing? I'm playing audio from the CPS board meeting that was on, January 20th. It was on January 20th. And I think it's important because a lot of people didn't see this. How do I know? Because they posted this on YouTube and their numbers is super down. You got 30,000 parents. They didn't even have 300 people that watched that video. So I know that people didn't watch it because I can see the numbers. Now, that doesn't tell me how many people watched it live. But in terms of how many people watched that YouTube video as of this morning, it was like less than 300. I'm like, hell no. That needs more visibility. Y'all need to hear this. You need to hear this. Because what's happening is a lot of people want to kind of come at me personally. Well, you work at home. Stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. I want my children. It would be far easier for my business, far easier for my son to be in school every single day. That frees me up. But you got to pivot, and I got to do what I got to do. And you got to do what you got to do. And so again, for all these belly aching, crying ass, whining ass parents talking about you got to work. So what you're asking these teachers to do is to put their lives on the line for the children that you brought into this world. And what I'm telling you is you brought them into this world. You should be the first person should be responsible for them, not the teachers. You are their mother and father, period. And so people say, oh, Nate, that's harsh. Well, damn it, life is harsh. Life is harsh. But in terms of what makes common sense, it makes far more sense to tell a parent to take care of their child than a teacher that is not responsible for the child. That's just their job. So some of you parents want to send your kids back to work so you can do what you want to do, and you don't give a damn about the lives of the custodians. You don't give a damn about the lives of the bus drivers. You don't give a damn about the lives of the teachers, but I do. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's about us. I'm trying to get that through some of the people with thick heads out there. Is it penetrating yet? Back to this.
I am a teacher at first grade. I teach.
Oh, this is good. Check this out.
Like many others, I am shocked that CPS is talking about returning to school in person while we are on purple and before we can be vaccinated or build up immunity from it. After losing my father-in-law to COVID, watching my teaching partner's mother struggle in the ICU currently with COVID, I am scared. But I also wanted to share some of the successes of remote learning. Last week, my first graders came up with 6 different ways to solve a missing addend equation. They impress me daily as they read me their geodes books. One of my girls recently, super excitedly, told me that at first she didn't know what an abstract painting that we were looking at was until she got more information. Just like the characters in 7 Blind Mice Miss class, she was so excited. And we've had so many wonderful moments like that. So many good things are happening during remote learning. Why are we going to go back when it's still not safe? Why put us in harm's way? And yes, remote learning is hard, but we are going through a global pandemic that makes everything hard. Going back in person is not going to solve all of our problems. It could, though, add to the over 400,000 Americans who are dead. It could add the names of CPS teachers, staff, children, and their.
Thank you, Ms. Glass. Thank you, Ms. Glass.
Yeah, again, I'm playing audio for you because I went to the YouTube page that they posted this on, this particular CPS. It had less than 300 views. I'm like, wait a minute. You got 30,000 parents out there. Are they not aware of this? Are people not paying attention to this? So I want to spend some time on it. To me, this is the number one story in the city right now.
As an educator, I believe it's important that students of any age are kept in the loop about the status of their school and the world around them. Oh,
Ms. McCartney, what is your
Yes, ma'am.
school affiliation? And
I'm a teacher at AWL. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I promised them that I would keep them in the loop of the status of their return to school.
So if you don't know, when teachers call in, they have to say their school affiliation, which is part of the reason why a lot of teachers don't want to call in and chime in, is because now they feel like they can be targeted for harassment. I got an audio clip for you that, a couple teachers are going to speak to that. One teacher says she's down at Riverview Academy. She said, I'm out of here. I got 2 days left. Y'all not going to harass me, but I'm going to hit you with these hot facts before I leave. So harassment, and I've talked to a lot of teachers on the low, on the DM level, that's direct message level, who said the same thing. Like, Nate, I don't want to get involved because I don't want no problems. We ain't want no problems, right? That's a damn shame. So why is it that teachers have to identify themselves? And then you got school board members taking notes like, okay, I know where you at. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, there might be a function behind it, but I don't understand what that is. I think there should be a process in which teachers can share their thoughts anonymously and not have to deal with revenge, because parents get retaliated against. So yeah, I'm sure the teachers can get retaliated against. And the school board, the superintendent is well aware of all of this. They've heard it before. I've said it to them. Others have said it to them. They're well aware of it. So it is a question that needs to be answered. Like, why do teachers have to say what school they come from? I don't get it. Now, some of these teachers like, I'm here and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Let's do it, which I like. Matter of fact, tomorrow morning, we're going to speak with such a teacher at about 7:30 a.m. So the show's going to start very, very promptly at 7:30 because the teacher has to be in the classroom later, not too long after the show starts. And it was a teacher that was actually in the stream as well. So that'll be tomorrow.
And that I would not share my own opinions, and I gave them the ability to use our class to share their own when possible. After sharing that we would be returning to school after cases per 100,000 is above 40, despite telling them after your board meeting in December that everyone agreed it wouldn't be safe enough, my fifth graders, who have shown up nearly every day since going remote, had some questions and opinions. One student asked how their little sibling will be getting on the bus by themselves in the morning for 2 weeks. Others don't want to have to attend CDA because in-person isn't safe for them or their families based on what they've learned. One student in particular shared that she hopes her grandmother gets better because she's in the hospital with COVID. I'm high risk, and I shouldn't have my will prepared at my age, but I do. I shouldn't have to worry every morning if a student is coming in after their brother is positive, was in close quarters with me without a mask, and they didn't know they were supposed to quarantine, which happened during the last blended learning period. I would hope that the board would be willing to run a test week of blended themselves just to see how safe it is, and just how much students in elementary schools especially struggle to follow safety protocols at 6 feet, let alone 3. We would be much better off after getting the vaccine rather than doing it ahead of time. Thank you for your time.
So again, what about the input from the people that's actually got to be there? You know what I'm saying? I mean, from what I'm observing, and tell me if I'm wrong here, it seems to me like the board, and again, they were elected to make this decision, so it is what it is, but it don't mean we can't have a conversation and share our opinion. Seems to me like there was no teacher input, no teacher union input, no parent input, no student input. You got a lot of disconnected people on the board, and I say disconnected because they're not going to be in the school. They're not going to the school. Okay, they're going to be doing virtual meetings that are making this decision. One of the school board members, Ben Lindy, everybody knows our favorite, not our favorite, maybe your favorite new school board member, Ben Lindy. This mofo was talking about how he wants to fast track to going back to 5 days a week. What? What? 5 days a week? Hold up, Ben. Pump the brakes, dude. Pump the brakes, man. 5 days a week? What in the hell is wrong with you? And again, it seems to me like there was, I don't know where they're getting their information, the board. It seems like they're getting from news. The board, to me, should get information that we don't have. And it seems to me they're getting the same information that we got, read news reports and Columbus Dispatch and, what the Columbus City schools are doing. Speaking of which, the Columbus City schools, they're going back in February. So it becomes like this cover, like everybody's going back in February. I don't give a damn what everybody's doing. I only care about what we should do here in Cincinnati. But just so you know, Columbus City Schools, they haven't been in school at all. They've been virtual all this time, which I respect because that's what CPS should have done. They should have just made a decision from the very beginning last year, and you stick with the decision until the coast is clear. But, all this back and forth is such a Cincinnati thing to do. Because in Cincinnati, like people I've seen, even leadership struggle with making the right decision and then sticking with it. As they want to try to appease all people and all that Cincinnati polite kind of stuff. This is no time for Cincinnati polite. You know what I'm saying? This is the time for do what you think is right for public health. And for me, if I was a school board member, I want to know what the teachers think because y'all got to work there. You're the one that's going to be in class every day. You're the one that's going to be on the front line every day. I'm not going to be there. So what you think matters more and should heavily inform or would heavily inform what I think again, but I'm not a school board member. You know what I'm saying? These people are the school board members. Speaking of which, I'm going to tell you who's up for re-election this year as well from the school board. I know people are like, I would never vote for this person. Check this out. This is very interesting.
In addition to that, I have 4 CPS graduates and a current student at Dayton Montessori. So I would like to speak to you today about why I went into education. And there is a famous quote, happens to belong, to a man named Jesus, who says, whatever you've done to the least of these, you've done unto me. My question is this. The specialized units need to return. I agree. However, we know that these students are more vulnerable. So I heard Miss Jones state she has reservations about sending any children back, knowing that 6 feet of distancing cannot be maintained. I heard Miss Mitchell say that X amount of feet is better than 0 feet. In my classroom, there's no masks. Every student is mask exempt. Every student gets 0 feet of spacing because I have to hold them. I have to feed them. I have to change them. I have to teach them. I have to love them. So my question to this board is, why on earth would we send back first the least of these? Can we not at least allow the teachers and the specialized units that cannot maintain any distancing and any mask wearing to be vaccinated first? My fear is that I will be personally responsible for killing the child.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lindsay Humphreys.
In case you missed it, she said first she brought up Jesus. So she said Jesus. So you know when people bring up Jesus, man, woo, they serious. And she said, again, this is what I believe she was saying, is that I'm personally afraid that I will be responsible for killing a student. That's what she said. So I heard people hypothetically talking about, and I've asked them, like, do you have a special needs student? No, but hypothetically, she's a special needs teacher. That's what she's saying. She said everybody in her room is mask exempt. So you're going to put her life in jeopardy so you can go to work for your children. That's fair. I don't think so, homie. It is what it is. We are where we are, but I'm just here to keep it real with you along the way. No fear, no tears. It is what it is. Full frontal commentary. It is what it is. So all them belly aching, whining ass, complaining parents, you going to put somebody else's life in jeopardy so you can so you can have more time to do your job. Huh? And those are your children. Those are your children. And that's fair to me. That's fair to you. It definitely ain't fair to me. It don't make no sense. It didn't make sense last year. It didn't make sense on New Year's Day. It don't make sense today. It doesn't make any sense. Now, there's a lot of people in the audience. I have friends that don't have children. Guess what? They're not in this conversation because they don't have no children. Their kids don't go to CPS. They're looking at this like, that's y'all problem. But they made a decision to do that. If you're a parent, you, just like me, we made decisions to have children, so we got to deal with these kind of things, whatever the consequences may be, because you had options. So, I mean, this woman was damn near in tears. The audio gives you some insight. The video tells you the real deal. You can see it for yourself. I'm telling you, it's wild. It is wild. It is wild. These teachers are not happy. Check this out.
Academy. Friday is my last day, so for those listening, taking notes on who to harass, there's no need to look me up on social media or contact my boss. I've sent her a copy of this speech for your convenience. I'm speaking tonight because I want everyone to know that there are thousands of teachers terrified to speak out. I am still nervous, even though I only have 2 days with CPS. The board and district have ensured that teachers are silenced by insisting that everyone state their name and place of work before speaking. I have had several friends hunted down and harassed by parents and community members, adults, because of the things my friends argued during board meetings. This has not been the community of compassion and understanding that we preach to our children. I urge the board to address this issue directly and insist that teachers have the right to speak their minds without attacks and reprimands. This has not been the community of compassion and understanding. We are all living through a global pandemic. A virus isn't political. It doesn't care who you are or what you believe in. It will take you if it can. Similar to a house fire, we are still entrenched in flames, and people are worried about the mental and academic impact students will walk away with. Of course, I'm worried about those things too. But could we please escape the fire first? Forcing anyone to go back under these conditions is insanity. The vaccine has arrived, the fire department, if you will, but we can't get back to our normal until we are brought to safety and the flames are put out. Only then can we assess the damage and respond. I want to point out that all but one of the moderators of the Open Schools Facebook group are white, wealthy Hyde Park parents. This is not the norm for most of CPS.
Sis dropped a mic on that one. White female. She said that I worked at Riverview East Academy, same school when I talk about my youth development, I worked at Riverview East Academy. I know that school like the back of my hand. Spent 10, 12-hour days there putting in the work for our youth. A lot of good people. She says, I'm out the door in 2 days and I'm still afraid about retaliation. From who? Who's going to retaliate? To say that this is deeper than just you and your job, parent. It's deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? When you make that decision to become a parent, you open your door for a whole lot of things that you can't control. It is what it is. When people say, well, Nate, how can we foresee this? You can't. But one thing we know as adults is that change and the unforeseen happens all the time. Like I said, there could be an ice storm tomorrow and we all stuck in the house. Who's responsible for your household? You are. There could be an earthquake tomorrow and it breaks down the social order of things and it knocks out the power and the electricity and the internet. Who's responsible for your home? You are. It is what it is. We are where we are. And all this belly aching and complaining is getting in the way of the real issue. The real issue is public health, public safety. And I want to share this with you this morning because I know a lot of people was coming to me on some dumbish. Like, oh, Nat, you just saying this? No, I'm saying it because I care about public health. And I care about the health of these teachers. You know what I'm saying? That you're asking to put their lives on the line so you can have some more time. Well, you don't get no time. You know what I'm saying? When you bring kids into this world, you stop being an adult. You become a parent. Parents are here. Adults are here. Most parents are adults. But once you become a parent, a lot of your adulthood, you lose. You made that decision. I made that decision. It is what it is. You can't do everything. You can't do the same things you could before you had children. Your responsibilities are different. Your life is different, including during a global pandemic. Things going to be different for people that are adults as opposed to adults that have children. Parents, adults. Parents, adults. You are where you are. And wherever you are, you chose it. You chose that. It is what it is. But I'm not going to keep hitting at the dead horse. I think I've made my point. All right. So we can all understand where we coming from. I do want to play just a little bit more because it was amazing, some of these audio clips, man. I mean, it was amazing. Plus some of the audio from the school board members. Jaw-dropping. Like I said, the title of today's show is 3 things, but of course, man, I got 20 things that you might have missed from that CPS. I want to overproduce. from that CPS video. But again, before we go any deeper, family, before we go any deeper in the show, we have to hear a word from our sponsor. Very, very important. If you're interested in sponsorship opportunities with the Nathan Ivey Show or CDM, hit me with a direct message and I will be in contact. I will be in contact to you. Of course, today's show is brought to you by, make sure I put it on the screen first. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Today's show is brought to you by Team Wellborn. If you're looking for a dream home, well, you should hit up Otis Wellborn Jr. Realtor. Check this out.
It's that well-born experience. It's that well-born experience. That well-born experience. Experience. It's that well-born experience. Yeah, that well-born experience. Yeah, that well-born experience. Experience. Tell us what you need. That's the question we start with. We specialize selling condos, houses, apartments. Make sure that you're happy with your residence. Keep it real, no filter. Otis, the realtor from the nattiest heaven sent. It's the well-born experience. Ain't nothing like it. Every time he talk to his client, he's so excited just knowing he able to put them in a place to lay their head, not focusing on his profits, but on the client instead. Right. He keeps it so professional and from his conversation. You can tell he studies before sharing information. Educated, motivated, ain't nobody better. Who's willing to walk you through every step to relieve the pressure. Yeah, and just so you know it's real, you get a special personalized rug once he closes the deal. So go and call him up so he can get you live. 513-252-1055.
Again, that's 513-252-1055. Are you looking for a dream home? Everybody's looking for a dream home unless you've already got it. Well, then you can contact Team Wellborn this morning at 513-252-1055. Their website is the Wellborn, BORN experience.com for my audio listeners. You can directly email Team Wellborn at teamwellborn@gmail.com. And that jingle is very catchy. It's very catchy. Good morning to you. All right, so we got folks trying to get on the line. Let's go straight to it. I think we got Brother Drop straight from California. He wants to talk about the whole transgender thing. I mentioned that earlier with Dusty Rhodes. And it sounds like he's got some information that he wants to share with us. Hey, good morning, Drop. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. How are you doing, sir?
I'm excellent, man. Welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Hey, I'm experimenting, Mr. Ivey, and I appreciate you allowing me to play this clip. And it's in relationship to the executive order that Joe Biden signed last week.
Okay.
And it was mainly because of these two athletes out of Connecticut. And this was their story back in June of 2018. So here's the clip.
That's so sensitive that Andrea and Terry, who you're about to meet, felt when it was time to tell their parents that they're transgender, they each revealed it by text, and now they have gone public with it, and they're facing opposition from people who say, even though you may feel like a girl, you need to compete against the boys. Terry Miller and Andrea Yearwood dominating the competition at the Girls Track and Field Championships in Connecticut earlier this month, coming in first and second place, respectively. And while it was a state race, their wins are making national headlines, not because of what they did, but because of who they are, two transgender girls. When was the first time that either of you found any kind of opposition to you participating on the girls' team?
I was expecting it. So every day I'll go home, search up track and field high school.
Hey, Drop, you still there, brother?
Because you wanted to know what.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ivey.
I think we got the gist of it, and that's the case that I was referring to. I'm aware of that case. In Connecticut? Yeah, I'm hip to it.
Yes.
So what was the executive order?
The executive order was it was for all transgender, like going to the bathroom, and it was around this case. It's about athletics because they challenged their titles, and the parents got fed up because it just wasn't. There was no reason for them to compete with the women, and this is one of the issues that the progressive wing of the Democrat Party wanted to be addressed during the Trump administration. So this was one of the things that, everybody's lining up for their cut, Mr. Ivey. And this was one of the issues that Joe Biden signed immediately as a crumb to throw to the African-American Democrats, because he put the immigration issue ahead of any Black agenda by granting amnesty to the DACA children and other immigrants who are caught up in the system that was the Trump administration. So this was one of those things that another bone, a little piece of crumb that he threw to the African Americans. And these two athletes are African American in Connecticut. So this is just the beginning, Mr. Ivey. And
so what was the order? What was the executive order?
The order was it was an executive order to strip the control of these states over their schools. This is just like the subject you're talking about now with reopening because of COVID-19. Joe Biden's administration is going to make these states open up. And his executive order allowed these states to toss out the restrictions that they put on these transgender, female identifying boys, that they couldn't compete. So now with the executive order, they're all back. They can all play. They can all participate. They can go in the locker rooms. They can take showers. They can do everything that the girls do. These transgender, pre-op homosexuals can now say that they identify as women and they can participate in all female athletics across the country.
That's news to me, man. That sounds like you got to send me a link so I can. I'm gonna trust, but wait to verify that one. Now I have read that he lifted a ban of transgenders in the military, which I'm all cool with. You know what I'm saying? I mean, why should you be banned from being in the military because you're transgender? That makes, and you're a grown person that pay taxes. That makes no sense to me. So I 100% support lifting a ban on transgender people serving in the military. But some kind of executive order as relates to the schools, that's the first time I'm hearing that. Not saying you're wrong. That's the first I'm hearing of it.
So, Mr. Ivey, you wouldn't have a problem with some dude who claims he's a woman and he's competing against your daughter trying to get a track scholarship to Ohio State.
I said it earlier. I would have a problem with it.
He's in the locker room with your daughter, changing. I mean, come on, Mr. Ivey. I know you ain't going to stand for that.
I said it earlier. Maybe you missed it. That's something that concerns me. I would be concerned about that as a father of a daughter. I would be concerned about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I need to hear more and know more and figure out how that all works out. But it would be a concern to me.
Okay. Hey, I mean, it's an interesting topic. And when I turned the show on, that is exactly what you were talking about. So I fired up my gear. And did you hear me clearly? Is everything coming in good?
Oh, you sound great, man. You sound great, bro. I couldn't be happier for you, man. I hope whatever you're doing, I hope it takes off.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ivey, for your help and assistance. And it's coming soon. It's coming soon. Things are gonna start to happen, and
it'll be dope.
I'm excited. And this is what my intro music is gonna sound like, real quick.
Let me hear it.
Signing off. Drop Squad 52. Oh, see, I just messed up, Mr.
You get it, bro. You get it, Dan.
I'm doing one of your things. I thought I had a cue to ready to go. All right, never mind, Mr. Ivey. I thought I had it ready.
Oh,
but
you'll
anyway,
get it, man.
I'm working on it. I'm working out the kinks. And you will be hearing soon from the Black, Not Democrat podcast with your host, Drop Squad 52. Dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Peace out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be dope, man. I wish the brother nothing but the best. I think it's going to be super dope. Yeah, Drop's doing this podcast. I mean, we could see this happening, but you know, he was sharing some thoughts with me behind the scenes. I love it, man. And who knows, maybe we can get a West Coast affiliate. I love it. Black, Not Democrat. Okay, I like it. I'm with it. I think I understand it. I'm with it 100%. So we'll see what happens with that. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Nathan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brother Fan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. I just want to say that if you're the parent of a boy and you get into weird science and go change his sex and make him a girl and let him compete athletically against girls, you're an asshole. for doing that. You know, I've seen some of these, adult women, they were in MMA. One of them fought a transgender. She had her skull cracked. She fought a transgender dude. Now there's a 30 for 30 out about it. There's a kid from Texas named Mac Beggs or something like that. She was born a girl and she transgendered into boy, and they made her compete against the girls still. And she won like it won two straight Texas high school wrestling championships under the girls titles. And but that's like the rarest I've ever heard of that. I mean, I've seen that Connecticut video before. I mean, those two were out there smoking those girls. It wasn't even close. It'd be like me and you racing Carl Lewis. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of distance they had on those girls. It was kind of sad to watch. You know, people born as girls shouldn't have to compete against somebody trying to be a girl. You know what I'm saying? That's unfair. That's a complete unfair advantage. But there was a girl from this area though. Her name was. This was like 2003-ish, 4-ish. There was a girl named Amanda Breesley. She was a total girl. And she won like 2 or 3 straight Ohio wrestling championships at 112 though. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it might even been 103. You know, at a real lightweight where, you know, a boy and a girl, you can't really tell the difference between a boy and a girl at that weight. You know what I mean? So some girls can compete at lighter weights, but once you start putting on weight on a boy, it'll become muscle, and it's just an unfair advantage. But I just want to say before I go, have you ever noticed, it's just a random scientific survey, but very few people like all 3 of these people: Jay-Z, LeBron James, and Tom Brady. And it's pure hate because they're just winners. They're winning all the time, and people are just hating on them for no reason. I'm tired of seeing Brady win. Why? I like seeing excellence, and he's my age or a year younger. I love that. I'm gonna celebrate that man. You know, LeBron James, same way. I'm tired of LeBron. Why? Why are you tired of him winning? You wasn't tired of Jordan winning when you were 12. Now you're an adult. You're tired of him winning. What's the difference? You know, Jay-Z. You know, they love to diss Jay-Z. Jay-Z is everything rap music is about: the money, the woman, and the rhyme. And he's got the best of all 3 of them. Why the hell do you hate him? You know what I'm saying? He only could. Sometimes, you know, what they call, he only lucky or whatever. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. He was in the right time at the right spot. You can't get mad at that. It is what it is. There's no need to hate these 3 people, but yeah, the incessant, unconscionable hate for I bring that up because you brought up Tom Brady. You know, I call them the Tampa Brady Buccaneers. You know, they're going to the Super Bowl, and you have brought that up, and I just noticed that just people on Twitter just going off on it, and I couldn't take it anymore.
About
so,
what? What are they
but
saying
yeah, that's
about
all
him?
I got. B. I'm sorry.
So what are they saying about him?
Just the hateful stuff. You know, and plus and now he's done it with a new coach in a new conference and a new team, and you're still hating him. I mean, I don't want to, turn it into a sports thing, but basically the whole gist of about a half-hour Twitter comments I read was, "I'm tired of Tom Brady, seeing Tom Brady win," and that's just hateful and putrid, if you ask me. But that's all I got. B. You take it easy. It's been a pleasure. I'll holler.
Most deaf. The only issue I have with your flow is referring to transgender people as it. You know, for me, I mean, if you said he, but again, that's your opinion. These are human beings. That's the only issue I have. Other than that, all facts. I don't have no problem with Tom Brady. My thing about sports excellence is if you don't like it, then go beat him. Simple as that. Brady's at the top of his game. He's showing what you can do. You give him some weapons, he'll be lethal. It is what it is. Props to them. And they got Antonio Brown. Come on, man. They got a good team. And they got crazy, crazy good unis. Before the Tampa Bay Buccaneers changed their uniforms, they was crap. They changed the uniform. What is this? This will be their third championship run in what, 15, 20 years since they changed them uniforms? Those soft-ass units they had before, out the door. I read that the Bengals are going to update their uniform. They need to do something radically different. Get rid of the stripes. Get rid of the stripes. I know it's sacrilege. I know it's blasphemy. But get rid of the stripes and go deep and come up with something that's super, super, super dope. Make all the rappers. Make it something that's so dope that it becomes a part of like the culture, right? You got rappers and other folks rocking everything. That's what they need to do. Go super dope. If you're going to keep with the orange and black, make it like an electric orange. Go like the college football route, right? Some of these college uniforms are super ill. That's what the Bengals need to do for two reasons. Number one, wipe away the aesthetic of all that losing over so many years that's associated with those old-ass jerseys. Okay? Just do something radically different to change the perception of the team, the aesthetic of the team, right? So when people look at it, they're like, oh, is that? You want people to say, is that the Bengals? That's what I would be. If I was in charge of it, that's what I would be going for. I want people to say, wait a minute, what team is that? I don't want them to even be able to recognize it at first. These soft-ass Bengals, the little prancing tiger. Rawr. It's like the cowardly lion. Put them up. I mean, come on now. Do something different, Bengal ownership. Do something radical. You know what I'm saying? Just change the game. You ain't got nothing to lose. What do you have to lose? Because Bengal fans are going to be Bengal fans no matter. They can go out there with a paper bag on. It is crayon in the names and the numbers in the back. People are going to still rock with them. So just for the culture, just for the aesthetic, just to bring winning in. Again, Denver Broncos, they changed the uniforms, back-to-back Super Bowls. Patriots, they had the second weakest uniforms of all time with the little dude. I don't know what he was called, but he had the little something in his mouth. Get the hell out of here. They got rid of that. They become a dynasty. Baltimore, you name it. Update the uniforms. It leads to winning. I'm just saying. It leads to win. That's what I would do. But what would you do? What would you do? Oh, let me jump inside the chop shop. Drop is lying like a motherfucker. Right. Ray writes, question, no shade. How do you feel like the opposite sex if you've never been the opposite sex? Seems you only had the visual mannerisms looking for enlightenment. That whole transgender thing is a whole nother show in and of itself, man. It's a whole nother thing there. And I think that there are people, I stand by what I've already said. I think there's people out there in this, they truly and feel like they're out of their body. They're out of their gender. And I think there's some people, and again, I don't know if we treat anybody differently, but I think there's some people who are looking to find themselves and they're drawn to the opposite sex for whatever reason. So I think it's different levels to it, man. At the end of the day, I think everybody should be treated equitably. And as American citizens should be given a fair shot at the American dream with no discrimination. And it also means no discrimination against heterosexuals as well. So that's how I feel about it. But let me go back. Let me go way back. Let me go way back. Well, let me not. Hold on. We got a call coming in. Let me see who's on the line here this morning. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, comrade.
Hey, what's up, comrade? Welcome.
Not a whole lot. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Listen, I was hearing you discuss that little Twitter situation with Chris Philbach and Dusty Rhodes. I actually did see that. That was crazy. Chris Philbach, this is just the combination of who he is as a city council member. He hates Trump so much he has to act like Trump. It's crazy. Because he's like, if you watch his Twitter, he do the same stuff Trump do. Like, there was no need for him to go after Dusty Rhodes like that. It was unnecessary. Dusty Rhodes is entitled to his opinion. But to call him a piece of human garbage and all that, if that had been Joe Dieters, Chris Philbach would have been the first person out there saying, oh, look at him. And he wants a promotion to be the mayor. No effing way. He needs to be exterminated from City Hall.
Exterminated?
He's accomplished absolutely nothing for African Americans in the city. He's more concerned about animals than black babies. I ain't got no time, no use for Chris Silva.
I don't know if that's true.
I think he said that his best accomplishment was like protecting the animals. Not black babies, not black people. It was about protecting some damn animals. That was his biggest accomplishment in 12 years on city council, 14 years on city council that he pointed to. So now he can ride off to the sunset. In terms of the school board members, I was interested in. I already knew who's running for re-election. I wanted you to say their names.
Okay, I can do that. Hold on, let me pull it up here so I can speak intelligently. I think you're wrong about.
Everybody needs to know.
I think you're wrong about Silbach.
If you replace all the school board members, or let's say you kept Matt Borowski, right, the person who don't want to go back right now, which I think is reasonable. If in 30 days the teachers that have some protection, like if they even get the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccination, for me that makes sense for them to hold out until they at least get the first line shots. Mike Morosky said it on alone, and I think just based on the stance, he'll get my vote. But the other three, I don't know what was the vote breakdown. I don't even have the information.
It was 6-1.
I know Morosky. Say it again.
It was 6-1. You talking about the motion?
So Morosky was the only person to vote for his own motion.
He was the only person to vote for it. Yes.
Everybody else was like, "Let's go back to school."
Everybody else was like, "Let's go back to school on February 1st." Correct.
Right. So Ryan Messer, he's up for school board re-election in 2021. I couldn't even tell you what he's accomplished on the school board in the last 4 years. I ain't heard a peep out of him. He ain't. I barely see him do any media. Pam Bowers, we just heard from. I just looked her up this morning and seen her background. She's like a strong African American lady. Not sure why she's taking this position to send black kids back to school, but she has her reasons, I guess. And then Eve Bolton and Melanie Bates. They're dinosaurs on the school board. So the only person right now I see myself voting for, based on the field too. I got one vote out of 4, and right now my one vote is going to Mike Morosky for re-election. Everybody else ain't earned re-election. Messer, Bowers, Bolton. Oh no, Bowers, she ain't running for re-election, I don't think. Well, then she might be. So one of them's not running for re-election.
Do you want to know who's running for re-election? Who's up? Well, let's put it this way. Whose term is up this year? Messer, Ryan Messer, Melody Bates, Pam Bowers, and Mike Morosky. Their terms expire December 31st of this year.
Right. So that's a majority. So if you can get 3 people to agree with Mike Morosky, that's 4. That's a majority.
What I think is interesting is you have a majority white board with a majority black school system.
Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
And then the white folks, because I heard one of the teachers say they said the wealthy white women of Hyde Park. That's like a TV show,
right?
Like the Real Housewives of Hyde Park, Ohio.
It does seem like a TV show.
I guess
wealthy white women of Hyde Park.
Yeah. So we got the wealthy white woman of Hyde Park calling the shots for 70% of the black kids that go to Cincinnati public schools. Basically, that's how it looks to me. I don't know how it looks to anybody else, but you got these wealthy white women of Hyde Park controlling school boards, telling them to send black babies back to school. I don't know how that don't make sense to me. In the city that's 45% African American, in the school system 70% black, the wealthy white women of Hyde Park are calling the shots at the school board. Not the CFT, not the Cincinnati Federation of Teachers. It's crazy to me. But hey, we'll see what happens. At some point it's time to go back to school, but it just feels like if you're going back to school, March 1st would be the target date. If people are going to get vaccinated. But I'm not sure what's driving their decision making. Politics, the wealthy white woman of Hyde Park. I don't know, but in November they got to go. These 3 members who decided they want to put school back before vaccinations, they're science deniers, and they should be voted out. Have a great morning.
Thanks for the call. It's hilarious. I think CDM will be interested in that project. The wealthy white women of Hyde Park. That would be interesting. That might be interesting. The wealthy white women of Hyde Park. That is hilarious. But yeah, just so people know, so Ryan Messer, who is the vice president of the school board, Melanie Bates, Pamela Bowers, Mike Morosky. That's all four of those individuals. Their term expires December 31st of 2021. That is this year, which means they'll be up for re-election. We'll see. Right now, there's only 2 African Americans or 2 black folks on a 7-member board. And as he said, 70% of the school is African American. Now, Ozzie Davis was there, black male Democrat, but he didn't get enough signatures, or I can't remember the whole story, to be on the ballot. So that ineffectively, shot himself in the foot for his re-election efforts. I may reach out to Ozzie to get his opinion. Like, if you were on the school board, what would you do? I'm interested in that, actually. If you were on the school board, what would you do? I don't know. But it is where it is. We are where we are. We're going to have to deal with it. And so for the parents getting ready, what I want to do is spend some time talking to you from now and next week on how we can prepare ourselves and how you can prepare yourself. I knew parents who are like, my kid ain't going to school. My kid ain't going to virtual academy. It's just going to be a no-show. Is that the intention? I don't know. Let's go to your comments this morning on Facebook and YouTube. It has been a minute. We are damn near 2 hours into the show. Danita writes, when I listened on Friday, she have you the answers, but you just kept asking the same thing. Her answers weren't going to change just because you kept saying the same thing. Well, that was because, Danita, I was giving her a chance to make it make sense. Her answer didn't really answer the question. So typically my style is I'll ask the question again, sometimes from a different angle, so they can give them a chance to make it make sense. Overwhelmingly, the people who I've got feedback from have said that essentially her answer is, this is what I want to do and this is how I feel, period. Without a whole lot of real, science, logic really behind it. So I wanted to give sis a chance to try to set the record straight. So yeah, I realized that, but I want to give her a chance to set the record straight so she can understand that, the answer wasn't satisfactory. Juan writes, this is why every election is critical when we elect a school board all the way to the president. Juan, you're so right. Correctamundo, Juan. Correctamundo. That's why I say every election, I don't care what you're running for. If it's an elected official, you got some responsibility. We should pay attention to it. And then people do focus on the school board. People do focus on the school board. I think it's going to be even more of a focus on the school board coming up. And perhaps CDM can be involved with that in terms of, offering some opportunities to hear, forums, to hear from these individuals. I think it's going to be critically important. And something tells me, at least if I'm involved, that, their decision is going to come up. It's going to come back up, and again, people might say, hey, I agree with it. Or people might say, no, I've got some issues with it. It's up for you to decide for yourself. Tiffany writes, why are people ignoring that there is a more contagious variant being spread? In California has their own California COVID right now. Scientific researchers on the ground in California have identified a brand new strain, if you will, of the COVID-19 virus that's even more contagious. So is this going to happen throughout the country? We don't know yet, but there's facts behind what Tiffany is saying. And the news just reported the variant may be more deadly as well, ? People in India have tested positive for this new variant, but some parents don't care. Matt Sample is one of the parents in Open Cincinnati Public Schools Facebook group. Oh, that's who Matt Samples is. Okay. Well, again, what I would say is, then what's stopping you and I and parents from letting their voice be heard with school board members? There's nothing wrong with you reaching out. You have every right to reach out through all means available to you and let these individuals know how you feel about it, because that's what other people are doing. You got every right. As I said before, I remain skeptical that there'll be any real ramifications for these school board members, because from what I've seen is that the Black community in particular and the community at large ain't really organized and prepared to do anything about it. I'm doing a show and I'm letting my voice be heard, whatever that's going to mean. But beyond that, what we going to do? What you going to do? You know what I'm saying? The Cincinnati way is looking at other people instead of saying, this is what I'm going to do, and creating whatever needs to be created so you got some real muscle. You know, all that talk with no muscle don't mean nothing. That's what I've seen in this city. A whole lot of talk. When you don't got no muscle, in 2 months we'll be talking about something else, and people will forget. Everybody's outraged right now. In a month or two, it's like, we got some new outrage, and you forget about it. Of course, I won't forget, but a lot of people forget. Amina writes, those parents have kids in school districts that are in school full time. Why is it okay for students outside of CPS to go to school, but not non-inner city schools? You say, why is it okay? Well, I mean, I think that if we're going to compare school districts, then we should compare school districts that are comparable, right? Comparable in style and size, makeup, things like that. So what school district are you speaking of, Amina, that is reasonable to compare to the Cincinnati public school system? That's number one. Number two, quite frankly, I don't give a damn about what these other school districts are doing. I'll be honest with you. I care about what Cincinnati public schools are doing. And if people, why shouldn't we have a premium on public health with the inner city schools or the public schools? That's the other way. Let me flip it on you. This is my first question is, if we're going to compare school districts, let's compare school districts that are comparable, okay? And then my second response would be, I don't give a damn about these other school districts. And then my third response would be, why shouldn't we put a premium on the public health of our children here in Cincinnati? You know, it's like my mother used to say, if somebody jumps off a bridge, are you going to do it? And what would we say? Sometimes that was maybe an old school thing to tell your kids, because kids will say like, why you do that? Well, Johnny did it. Oh, if Johnny jump off a bridge, you going to do it? Well, same thing. If these other school districts want to deny science and go back to in-person learning during a pandemic, does that mean we got to do it? I would say no. But let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nate. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Is this Danita?
Yes, it is.
Hey, good morning. Welcome.
Hey, so just a couple of things. You actually, while I was calling in, you said kind of what I was going to hit a little bit. So first of all, there isn't a district that's going to be comparable to CPS. They service 35,000 kids. So you're not going to really get a district here that's going to be comparable. But what needs to happen is parents have got to organize. See, what happened was the last time when CPS went remote, those parents who wanted their kids in school, they organized. And they got together and they put pressure on the board to change things. While people who wanted their kids in remote kind of sat on their laurels and did nothing. So if you wanted to change, you got to mobilize just like they did. That Matt Sample guy, he's been doing surveys. He's been doing Facebook groups, petitions, all of that. This guy saw what he wanted and he mobilized and got it done. So can't be mad at him if people sat back and did nothing. Where were the CPS parents when they sent out that survey and out of 35,000 students got back less than 5,000? Come on, Nate, that's ridiculous. Where are the parents voicing what they want?
Well, is that rhetorical, or you want me to answer that?
I'm asking,
okay.
Because don't you think that's crazy? If you have 35,000 students and your district sends out a survey and less than 5,000 respond.
What survey are you speaking of?
Of course you're going to go by who responded.
What survey are you speaking of?
When they did this, before they went back to remote, remember they were only in school for a few weeks and they went back to remote? Before they did that, there was a survey that went out that was on, they had been advertising it on their Facebook page. They had been advertising it on the website, and they only got back less than 5,000 responses.
Well, you know,
out of 35,000 kids.
I remember participating in that survey, and I hear you, but that was last year before we were in purple. There was no survey that was put out before CPS board made this decision they made this last week, though. Because I think they would have got a higher percentage of a response.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They went by these people who have been making a movement now. There's been no movement to stay remote. The movement has been to go back to school. You see what I'm saying? While everybody was in remote, these people were mobilizing. No, I don't want my kid remote. I want my kid in school. So they've been pushing this movement ever since. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, facts. You're right about. I just said it. I mean, the folks, the parents aren't mobilized and are not organized, who feel this way. And that's why the school board feels like, hey, what's the repercussions? I mean, y'all gonna forget this in 2 months, and they're probably right about it.
No, but I don't even think it's that. I think it honestly is that. Again, no, you're not going to make everybody happy, and I think they tried to make a decision to give people a choice because that is what people were saying they wanted. They were saying they wanted a choice. They didn't want to just be all remote. Some kids wanted some parents wanted their kids back, and some parents wanted them to stay remote. So I think what they were trying to do was to give a choice. But again, if the movement is, and to just say, it's white women from Hyde Park, I just don't think that's fair because if the white women from Hyde Park did what they needed to do to be heard, then you got to take responsibility on your own that you did it. Don't blame them for doing what they wanted and getting what they wanted. It's the same way we talk about Black people not getting what we want. We have not because we ask not. And we do not hold those people who we elect accountable. We sit back on our laurels and we get what we get and we get mad. We get mad when we don't get what we want. But how can you get what you want when you're not making your voice known? To sit here and simply say, I'm going to vote these people out, school board, because of the decision they made about remote learning, to me, that doesn't make sense. Because, yeah, Mike Morawski voted, to keep them remote. But where has he been? This is a failing district. Are we really going to make our vote based upon this one thing? What has Mike Morawski did to move CPS forward out of being failing? Use your vote wisely, not just on one issue is all I'm saying.
Depends on the issue.
What has this man done to move your district forward out of failing?
I mean, you can ask that question of everybody. Okay, I think that's a fair question for any elected official.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is let's not just hang our hat on Mike Morawski. We're going to vote for him now because he voted to the kids to go back on March 1st. Use your vote wisely. You need to know what else this man has done or hasn't done before you vote for him.
Well, he also led the charge. I mean, people can decide whether they think it's going to be affected or not. But he also was the leading force behind this new, these new racial equity policies they have in place. So I hear what you're saying, but I mean, for an elected official, that's up to the individual. I might be a single issue voter. That's just me. That's my vote.
Well, I would caution people to never just be a single issue voter because that's not going to get you anywhere. But again, everybody has a right to do what they want with their vote. But I would caution parents, if you're going to send your kids to public schools, the school board needs to be responsible to you, and the school board needs to do more for you than one issue. You should never have a school, especially when you're a failing district. You obviously need to see some changes. And that would include Mike Morawski to me too, because he's been a part of this. They've been failing, even under his term. So what he's doing ain't working either. But again, instead of, like you said, these whiny-ass belly-aching parents, maybe these whiny-ass belly-aching parents who sat on their laurels is the reason why the kids are going back to school because they didn't make their voice heard. So now you got to do what you got to do.
All right. Anything else?
All right. Nope, that's it.
I appreciate the call. That's Donita. Strong opinions as usual. I appreciate it. I think parents have let their voice be heard. That's why I was like, is that rhetorical? Because I'm playing you the audio for the parents that are letting their voice be heard during the CPS round of public comment. These are parents and teachers. Their voice is being heard. We can see them talking directly to the school board and the superintendent. So I think that there's a lot of truth in what she said because I just said it before she called in that For people who are concerned about this, you should organize. And you should make a move politically. I think it's two ways you should organize. Number one, organizing in terms of working with the schools, because CPS needs our help. They might need more money. They might need something. What you need so we can help you get what we want. And I'm willing to do that. I would pay more taxes if that meant that, collectively we could get Zoom meetings. What's the price tag? What's the bag tag? Let me know. There are parents who feel the same way I do. If that's what our children need, that's what our children need. They're going to get it. Okay. But then also, if you feel inclined to do so, make a move politically, organize politically. These are elected officials, if that's the way you feel. And yeah, you can fall out on one issue. You know what I'm saying? I'm a multi-issue voter, but if everything else is the same and you got some people that are voting in a way that you think puts kids at risk and puts adults at risk, and you got one person that's like, nah, we can wait a month, that should be an issue. I suspect that it will be an issue coming up for the upcoming election. Now, it's a long time from now. This is January. We're talking about November, and I know how the public is. Everybody's upset right now, but let's say that we get a break in COVID and everybody's going out to concerts. You ain't going to be thinking about this. Man, most people ain't going to be thinking about this, and they're not going to be thinking about this in, like, say, July and August, if we're able to go back out and enjoy the sunshine, eat bratwurst and go to concerts down at the park and all this kind of stuff. You ain't going to be thinking about this. It's going to be the last thing in your mind. And there's people that's counting on it. You know what I'm saying? I have a long memory, so I won't forget. You know what I'm saying? I don't forget these things, but I get it. Let me see. Donnie B's in the house. She writes, no, we didn't get the notice of the special meeting. That's right, Donnie, because I remember it last year, but they didn't put it out purposely. Pam Bowers said as much in the CPS meeting, because the question came up as to whether they should do a survey for Walnut Hills parents. And Pam said, look, if we didn't do a survey for all the parents, then why would we do a survey for just Walnut Hills parents? And I agree with that, because there's already a perception that the district treats Walnut Hills differently because of their test scores. Okay, so I agree with that. But it begs the question, why not put out a survey for all of the parents? And Pam said, I'm not in favor of doing that. Now, why is she not in favor? Why was she not in favor of doing a system-wide survey? I don't know. My suspicion is because they already know what the outcome is going to be. We're in the middle of purple, and the vast majority is going to say, don't go back. And so it puts more pressure on CPS as a board to go against the will of a parent survey. It's far easier for them across the board for them not to do a survey and then make a decision the way they want to, than to have a survey that gives them the will of the people, of the parents. And then they say, well, screw that, we're going to do this anyway. That's my opinion about it. That's my suspicion. Now, you can call that skeptical, but until I see something different, I'm going to stand by that. That's what I think, personally. Sean writes, my son is at home with the digital learning as well. It is a struggle at times, but he is still learning. We all know learning starts at home. Mm-hmm. Like, for parents that take that route, we're going to have to do that. If your kid go to digital learning, it is what it is. You're going to have to make it happen, Captain. It goes both ways. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. If you decide to put your child in digital learning, now your child is no longer in their AP courses or their language courses or whatever courses, they're no longer with their teacher, then we as parents are going to have to make it work, because these are our children. It is what it is. We're going to have to make it happen. For me, it's a couple things. To me, and I asked Pam Bowers this, and she could not refute it. And she didn't really want to answer. She started to talk around it. I'm like, are you telling me that you think that the Digital Academy learning, that it's equitable, that it's fair? And she had a line of questioning that kind of went around it. But at the end of the day, she couldn't refute what I was saying. It is not fair. You're telling parents that the only way they get access to their teacher for their children is to go through COVID. That is unfair. Or to go to a whole different school. That's unfair. And then for the parents of children that are in specialized classes, their gripe is that now their kids are going to get less instruction time. When they're virtual, at least they're getting 5 days a week. Now they're getting less than that. How does that make sense? To satisfy whom exactly for 28 days? I'm just saying. There's a lot of ways of looking at it. Sheila writes, the president of the teachers union should be at the meeting representing the teachers' interests. That's the purpose of the union. I agree. From what I understand, she was unaware. She was kind of caught off guard that you talking about Julie Sellers? Julie Sellers was caught off guard as to the nature of the vote. So I don't know if it was on her end or if it was the school board's end, but I would agree with you. I think that whoever reps the teachers union should be there in order to give their thoughts about it. That's just my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. Pardon me. Let me see here. Here is another audio clip from a parent. Check this out.
And I just have some items for board consideration. One thing that I appreciated at the beginning of the year was that all of their decisions were data driven. It doesn't feel like that anymore, as our positivity % rate is double what they required, as well as our 7-day moving average. We only have 5 points from the data tonight. If there's no change in our return date, I implore you not to change any of our safety precautions, especially for our younger kids. 6 feet to 3 feet would be dangerous because they're still gaining the understanding of wearing masks, especially going back and doing new procedures. We also need time for more rigorous cleaning, and with lower distance, that would be harder. Please consider correlating our return to the vaccine. We want to be back. We want to be there safely. We want to get vaccinated with both doses. I love my class. I love my job. I want to be back in person, but safely. I know it's not an easy decision, so thanks for all you do.
As a parent, I don't think it's fair for me to put that woman's life in jeopardy so that my day can be easier. That's unfair. That's my son. That's not her son. That's my daughter. That's not her daughter. That's my responsibility, not her responsibility. These brave men and women on the front line of our schools should not have their lives put in jeopardy for whining ass complaining parents because your day is hard. Why'd you have them? You had them. It's your responsibility at the end of the day. Make it happen, Captain. Just like we gonna have to do with digital learning. And people are like, well, I'm not a teacher. And those teachers are not the parents of your children. Those are your children. We gonna have to make it happen. It's gonna be difficult. Some are more capable than others because of their educational level and their expertise. It is what we already knew that when we as adults decided to become parents. When you make that decision, you're taking on a tremendous burden for the foreseen and the unforeseen. And whether it's something you can foresee or it's something that you couldn't foresee, those are your children. That woman who was just speaking is not my child's mother. She is not my son's mother. Her life should not be in jeopardy so I can have an easier day at work. That's unfair to her. I mean, can I get an amen on that? That's unfair to her. Those are my kids. I'm going to take the risk. I've got to sharpen my skills. I'm going to have to sharpen my skills and get better so I can be what my children need them to be during a global pandemic. Now, people say that's harsh. I say it's real. What do you say? Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Morning, Nate. It's Mike again.
Hey, what up, Mike? Welcome.
I'm doing good. I did some math, man. People don't like my math, but the price of Zoom would be $3,204,500.
Price
That's
of what?
with the licenses for Zoom in school learning. But that's licenses, price per class, and that's even the high side. CPS employs 6,500 people. Not all those are teachers, but $50 for class meeting. That's like $3 million something per class for 9.5 months. But they have $8 million for substitute teachers.
Right.
I mean, we could reduce the size of effectiveness of a class, allow people that work during the day, send their child to school if they want to, while people in your case can keep their child at home. I mean, it's mutually beneficial. I mean, it's for everybody, and you keep everybody together.
What's that price tag again,
I
Mike?
just don't see what the issue. $3,204,500.
Well,
That's for
that sounds
65
high to me.
schools at $1,800 per license. $50 a month for classroom meetings at 6,500 teachers, which CPS doesn't have. And that's just for Zoom. And, you know, that's not even doing bulk packaging, this and that, and everything else for negotiations. So, I mean,
I got to believe they can get a better rate than that. Like you said bulk packaging. I got to believe they can get a better rate than that. That's just my.
well, yeah, but that's high side. That's just
yeah,
high
that's
side.
high side. That's real high side. Okay.
Right. But we have $8 million for substitute teachers that ain't going to be in school teaching. Now, everybody says, you know, well, what about Title I funding and all that? That's state and federal funds. That has nothing to do with general funds. 2017, CPS brought in $300 million in general funds. I mean, let's talk numbers. I like numbers. That's my thing. I mean, you're a heart patient. You don't want your kids going to school, potentially, you know, bringing it home and hurting you. I get it. My wife's also a heart patient. But, you know, people do have to work. So we could limit the size of the classroom. We can send kids to school that need it in school, and we could also keep kids at home. I mean, people that don't like my idea, I'm sorry, I don't have skin in the game, but my kids are still getting educated. My kids still go to school. I mean, so let's look at all the facts. I mean, we want to put science and data into it. Let's put science and data into it.
All right, Mike, thanks for the call, man.
What?
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you
All
out,
right, man.
brother. Go right ahead.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I was going to say, what are your thoughts on it, but I'll take it offline.
All right, appreciate you, man. That's Mike. I believe his children are in Marymount, and they do Zoom up in at his school, at the school district in which his children attend school. And so he's been suggesting that CPS do the same thing. I think it's worthy of a conversation. He says that price tag will be $3 million. That's heavy. Seems high to me, but again, I haven't done the number, so we'll go with that until we do. So good morning to you. Thank you for being here. I want to give you a heads up. So primarily we've been talking about, and you know, on the cover I said 3 things you might have missed, but of course there's a lot more than that. So I want to overproduce for you. There's like a dozen things you might have missed from the last CPS board meeting. And I've been sharing some of this with you. I don't think this has been widely viewed. And so this video that I've been playing the audio from is available on the CPS Board of Education's website. And there's a video that they've got on their YouTube page, and you can watch it for yourself. I looked at the views this morning. I'm like, wow, y'all ain't got 300 views? This is hella important. So we've been talking about, I've been kind of breaking it down. And of course, I did not watch it in its entirety when it was streamed live. So I wanted to go back. I went back, watched it in its entirety, and then went back through a lot of it and watched it for essentially would have been a third time. And the more you watch it, the more you pick up little things here. Number one thing I picked up is all these school board members and superintendents are virtual. Are they going to remain with their virtual CPS board meetings while they're telling CPS teachers and parents and staff to go back in person? Or I think that they should open up Marison Academy if it hasn't been open. Open it back up for the public, and then get back into within 3 feet of space for your public meetings. To me, that would be leadership. How can they do anything other than that? How can they remain in virtual, safe, at home? But they're telling teachers and administrators and all the support staff and the parents and the teachers to take your kids back in public. So that's one observation I made. So I don't know if they made a decision about that, but I'll be watching to see that in the near future. If the coast is clear for the kids and the staff, it's got to be clear for you too over at the Marison Academy. We want to see you in public. And then let the public come in, and we'll use the same protocol at the Marison Academy Public Forum CPS board member meetings as you do with the schools. And y'all can sit no more than 3 feet apart from one another, and you can show us what you want us to do. I think that's fair. I think that's very, very fair. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, Nate, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday
I'm
to
doing
you.
fine, man. Hey, I came in on the last bit of Mike's call. But I'll say this, Nate. There's this saying: you make time for things that are important to you. And in this case, locally, we spend money on the things that are important to you. Now, if I caught like I said, I came in the last bit of Mike's call. But was he talking about there was a way that we can do basically the blended school idea, but only we need the funds to make sure that we can get the access, the internet access to the people that need to have that access. Am I correct?
I'm sorry, you are correct.
Hello?
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay. My point being, Nate, is that, and you talk about having a long memory. Nate, I got a long memory too. And I remember this city is able to find $35 million for FC Cincinnati that you just pulled out their ass. But they can't find $3 million for Mike's idea or even your idea if it's double that. You see my point? We're in a pandemic. Let's prioritize if children are really what you say is important to you. And I put into the chat room, Nate, people in the West End, they should have their internet provided to them by FC Cincinnati. Whatever tax abatements that they've been able to siphon off from the community that would go directly to the community because of those tax abatements, let's have a little, what do they call it, economic patriotism. During the pandemic, how about, what's the guy, a farmer with Centos and Lindner with Great American Life? How about y'all get together and help the community that has helped you out so greatly? How about Mike Brown and the Bengals and Bob Castellini with the Reds who received tax abatements, and received millions of dollars from the taxpayer? How about y'all help out with, what'd you say, Nate, $3 million? And you said that was on our side, right?
Yeah, I hear you, brother.
I mean, I don't get it, Nate. And Nate, go ahead.
No, I'm listening to your flow.
I mean, Nate, you talking to a brother, man. My son's been in school all year. And I recognize the benefits of him being in school. But you know me, man. Of course, I'm going to go through every precaution possible to see that he's safe. And not only he's safe, that he doesn't bring home anything that makes it unsafe for his daddy who had the pre-existing condition. But Nate, when I went up to Miles School, and I can't compare Mason City schools to CPS because I think you're twice as large, if not 3 times as large as Mason City schools. And Mason City schools, they're growing every month, every year it seems like. But from what I gather, Nate, is that there's just a lack of information being provided from CPS directly to the parents. And in many cases, the only information that a lot of people are getting is because you brought it to the table. I mean, really. I mean, what you said with Karen Bowers, I understood exactly what you're saying. When you listen to it the second time, you're probably like, damn, I wish I was able to, make her elaborate more on this, or I wish I was able to, say, hey, what do you mean exactly? But I get your point. But again, most of the information out here, Nate, because they're not talking about another state. They're not talking about Diamondale, even, our other urban stations. What you bring to the table is not being brought up at any other place, Nate. I'm telling you that flat out. I'm not trying to gas. So you're doing a service, but everything that I hear, it's all surrounded around CPS not providing the parents with the information that they need to make an intelligent decision on whether they want their kids to be A, stay at home, or B, go to school. And I know in Mason City schools more specifically, when I went up there for orientation, they talked to this homeroom teacher. They showed all the little precautions and restrictions that they'd have to go through. But she also told me that almost 35% of Mason City school kids didn't come back to regular learning. So I'm thinking, well, hey, that actually makes it better for mine who will be going back to school because they're going to adhere to the 6-foot rule. I think she said maybe she might have 8 students in the class. And then before it was maybe 18 to 20, I believe. So, like I said, the lack of information, Nate, I sat up and watched a 2-hour freaking boring ass video. I'm just going to keep it real from the Mason superintendent of schools. But I wanted to know everything. Again, me, I tend to nerd out and get anal about everything. But that's how I went about it, man. And like I said, we've been talking about this since the very first day. I don't get what's happening in CPS. Like I said, I wish the people can get more information. And, up to now, you're the only one providing it, brother. So, good for you, man. But I love the discussion. I love hearing what people got to say. Danita, I love her to death. Yeah, y'all butt heads, but that's what it's for. Iron sharpens iron. So, hey, I appreciate you taking my call, brother. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too, man. That's Mason Mahler. And I think at the Mason City schools, you were right, it's 3 times as many. CPS has 3 times as many students. Mason City schools, I looked it up while you were flowing, about 10,000 students. So it's about 3 times the difference. All right, before we go any deeper in the show, and we'll take more comments, I've got more audio for you as well from the CPS meeting that happened just 5 days ago on the 20th. Another word from our sponsor. Again, I'll say it, a great way of supporting the Nathan Ivey Show and our mission to amplify Black voices in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond here with CDM is to support our sponsor. If you're looking for a dream home, go to thewellbornexperience.com right now, and Otis Wellborn Jr. and his team will work with you to find your dream home. Say it with me. Dream home. Dream home.
It's that well-born experience. It's that well-born experience. That well-born experience. 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 It's that well-born experience. That well-born experience. That well-born experience. Experience. Tell us what you need. That's the question we start with. We specialize selling condos, houses, apartments. Make sure that you're happy with your residence. Keep it real, no filter. Otis, the realtor from the nattiest heaven sent. It's the well-born experience. Ain't nothing like it. Every time he talk to his client, he's so excited just knowing he able to put them in a place to lay their head. Not focusing on his profits, but on the client instead. Right. He keeps it so professional and from his conversation. You can tell he studies before sharing information. Educated, motivated, ain't nobody better. Who's willing to walk you through every step to relieve the pressure? Relieve the pressure. Yeah. And just so you know it's real, you get a special personalized rug once he closes the deal. So go and call him up so he can get you live. 513-252-1055.
Again, that's 513-252-1055. thewellbornexperience.com, and they will help you find your dream. Say it with me, dream home. Your dream home. Everybody out there understands that home ownership is the bedrock of your financial portfolio, especially for the working middle class. And how many people out there, especially if you have a family, even if you don't, you want that space, man, that, well, it's the space of your dreams, your dream home. Again, call them today at 513-252-1055. Make sure you tell them you heard it on the Nathan Ivey Show. And this is a Black-owned business. And again, a great way of supporting me and supporting what we're doing here is supporting our sponsors. You can email Otis Wellborn Jr. at teamwellborn, BORN, again, teamwellborn@gmail.com. All right, so let's get straight back to it. So I got more audio for you here. This is audio of the CPS meeting. I know that people missed it because I can look at their views and see it. A lot of people didn't see this, and there's so many things to unpack. There's so many things to talk about from this. But I think it's really important to take it away from my viewpoint and for people to hear from parents. Check this out.
I don't know where my video just went. I do apologize. So I'm a teacher at Dater High School. Plenty of people have spoken to you tonight about the risk that you are putting us in, about the danger that you are putting us in, that you are literally laying our lives on the line. So I don't know that I can add to that. What I can say to you is that blended learning simply doesn't work. Not only does blending cause an increase in mental health issues for our students and our staff, as well as an increase in our likelihood to transmit the virus, but educationally, it means our students are only seeing us 2 days a week. It means that our direct instruction is cut in half. It means that our students are not getting the education that we want for them, that you want for them.
There, because that's the other part that people keep missing. This plan cuts down instruction time. I thought that was the whole point. How does this make sense? you increase the risk, and you cut down the instruction time. Tell me how this makes sense. For what reason? Who is this serving? How is less instruction time and more of a risk to teachers, staff, parents, and students a better idea than where we are now? I've heard nothing to refute that. These same parents, like I told you, and I said it from the jump last year, whining ass, complaining, belly aching parents who only care about themselves. Because logically, it doesn't make any sense. How is somebody, one of you, I just described you, one of these whining ass, belly aching, complaining ass parents. How does less instruction time for your child and my child make sense? How? And that's supposed to be the whole point. Give the people a choice. What choice? The choice of less instruction time? It just don't make sense, family. It just don't make sense. So you get less instruction time, you increase the risk, but some complaining, belly aching, whining ass parents. And see, here's what you don't understand that I do. Some of these parents, what they're trying to do is the slippery slope method. See, what they really want to do is to push us back to 5 days a week. That's what they really want to do. And so the best way to get to 5 days a week is to start with 2 days a week. That's really what these crying ass, whining, complaining parents who are a part of the problem, that's really what they want. They don't really want 2 days a week. What they want is 5 days a week. And they don't really care if the teachers are exposed. All they care about is they can go back to their lifestyle, and now you can go to work, and now you don't have to worry about your children and be watching them when they on virtual learning. That's really what it's all about for some of these parents. Not all of them. Some of these parents are between a rock and a hard place, and it's like really about their livelihood, and I'm sympathetic. But a lot of these parents, in my opinion, or some of these parents, in my opinion, are just whining and belly aching because it's an inconvenience. It's their children, get this, their children is an inconvenience to their day-to-day. So they'd rather, these men and women who've been talking, they want to put their lives at risk so they don't have to be inconvenienced and burdened anymore. That's what it is. Think about this. Less instruction time makes more sense than more instruction time. It don't make sense, family. And I've heard nothing, and nobody can convince me otherwise. I've heard nothing that would convince me otherwise from any credible sources whatsoever. Check this out.
However, remote is working. I have seen a increase in my attendance since switching to remote. I have seen my juniors and seniors write college level essays that I would be happy to send to you. I have seen my students tackle questions like why there is an insurrection at our Capitol, like why the adults in charge are putting their lives at risk. I have watched them take on these critical issues with finesse.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Leslie Mooney, followed by Mallory Schreiner, followed by Lee. Go ahead, Leslie.
Okay. So I don't need to go on and on about this. I mean, I can share the link with you. Let's share the link with you so you can check it out for yourself. This is the direct link from the Facebook page of the CPS school board. You can make your own decisions. Check it out if you like. If you don't like, you don't have to, obviously. And you can follow along and watch the video. I would implore you. I would implore you to do that. I mean, do what you got to do. Brian writes, lumping trans and gay together shows drops ignorance. Okay. Let me see. Somebody writes, yeah, it is ignorant, Brian. BS, I want to read it right. I don't know what he's talking about. Rachel writes, drip is following QAnon. Not true. Yeah, I didn't read that. I'm like, where they do that at? I ain't heard that yet. I haven't heard that. Nate, thank you for allowing everyone to finish speaking while still holding them accountable for clarifying their points and being thorough and making their point without wasting time. It can't be easy when you are way out of left field. That's Ronald. That's what I do, Ronald. Appreciate you being here. One last call before we roll, shall we? Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Okay, so I see everybody's excited about the school board education. So I followed it to the Ohio Department of Health,
Well, who am I speaking
Ohio
with first
Department of
before we get into the flow? Who am
Education.
I speaking with?
Oh, I'm sorry, Herschel Daniels.
Hey, what's up, Herschel?
Well, it's an interesting situation because I'm a guardian of a student in CPS, and so I followed it all the way to the governor. Now, I'm a member of the African Scientific Institute. There's about 1,900 of us hard scientists, right? And so the last time that the governor issued a scientific backed move was December 20th. And I can't find anything that stands behind the science of his order. There's nothing, and the CPS won't respond about the science. The Ohio Department of Health won't stand behind the science. The Ohio Department of Education won't stand behind the science. And with 7 heart attacks and a spontaneous pneumothorax, I have to take this serious that, they're threatening not only my life, but my family's life. And they don't have the data that stands behind this. So, one of the things that we're pushing is we're going to meet tonight at 8 o'clock. And the only thing that parents can do and guardians can do is to hire a lawyer and sue. I mean, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I think you might be right about that. That's not the only thing they can do, but that's one of the things they can do.
It's the only thing that within the timeline, because they've already sent out, for February 1st, okay, and timeline wise of the when they had the revote last week 6-1, Mike Wazowski was the only vote that said this, and obviously the other 6 members are willing to bow, to the governor's orders that have no science behind them, and that they don't have any science and standing up. They weren't willing to do this because they have to be sued because of their fiduciary responsibility as board members. So they've abandoned that. Okay, and so their responsibility is to their staff, but most to their students. And so when they give out hard facts, when they say, okay, well, there's about 500 teachers who have COVID. Okay, so 500 teachers have COVID. How many of them have died from COVID? Okay, if they're not willing, the state just bought 2 million instant tests, right? That for 15 minutes. So they're not making any arrangements so that all the students who come in daily are tested. They didn't make any of those arrangements. And so the Educational Service Center for Hamilton County is the designated agent for the implementation of this in Hamilton County, which is this only county that was purple as of last Friday, which means we are in the highest category of COVID-19 and as it stands right now. And so with all this responsibility, they didn't even do and say, okay, we're going to bow to the governor. And so we're going to go ahead and do this, but we're going to test every student who comes in. We're going to test every teacher who comes in, and there's the money that's available. That's the thing. There is over $54 billion that was signed on December 27th as part of the $866 billion stimulus package. I mean, I read 2,000 pages of that 5,593 page law. And the money is there. But they didn't make the time nor spend the effort, or their staff didn't take the time and spend the effort in saying, okay, we're going to bow to this. This is how we're going to implement it for the safety of our students, their families, or our staff. That's what they get sued on. And that's what we're doing at the Hamilton County for the FAU SmartWise Community Reinvestment Coalition of Hamilton County. So we're a nonprofit organization, but we also have a 501c4. And this is not the issue I wanted to come out in, okay? But the affordable housing. So I'm going to be unpopular on two ways this week: the affordable housing issue and the education issue. But we've got to do the right thing. The resources are there. Has anybody on the show this morning? I was over at Todd, when they were doing Todd Platoon this morning and dedicating the building for him. Has anybody talked about the money that's available for affordable housing?
This morning, no.
You do know that there is tens of millions of dollars in low market tax credits that are available here. At the end of last year, there was over $40 million in low market tax credits that are here in Cincinnati. And so, when they talk about projects in 2009 to 2012, we put together a plan for the city called Plan Cincinnati. You ever hear of it?
Vaguely. I'd love to hear more about it, though.
All right. Well, it's the urban plan for the cities. Once they defeated us in the Cincinnati Empowerment Corporation and destroyed the Empowerment Corporation's plan and just made sure we just received the $25 million in HUD grants, not the $2 billion in promises from corporate Cincinnati. All right. And so we were able to get an urban planning done, won awards for it in 2014. It's supposed to have been updated in 2017, but Cranley and crew, have not let it be updated. It's not been in the budget for update. It's supposed to be the people's budget, right? It's supposed to be updated. It's the urban plan for Cincinnati. And so when you as a neighborhood create a plan, it's supposed to be updated every 5 years. And it's not been updated since 2012. So now in Over the Rhine, the whole question is on the Over the Rhine development plan. And when you talk about affordable housing, the city of Cincinnati has accepted that it needs 40,000 affordable homes in the city, and it was done by the list. Okay, the report was done by CBI, and it was funded by the Cincinnati Foundation. So the justification's already been accepted by the politicians down in the city and the county.
Hey, Herschel, listen, man, I got people asking me questions about this. I want to give it more time, but I'm at the end of the show. Can I reach out to you today?
I understand. I'm sorry. I was over, like I said, I was over at Todd.
We can just have
I'll
like
be
a
back
whole
tomorrow.
segment on this?
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, but they can ask the questions on your social media.
Okay.
Ask the question.
Yeah, I feel like it's a super critical and very important issue. I want to give it its proper time and not rush it. Okay, so I'll reach out to you today.
I'll come back
we
tomorrow
can set up a time
and give you the 411.
And then
but I'll answer on your
we
social
can do like
media.
A Q&A.
You got a good show, man.
Appreciate you.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you.
Yeah, that's
Bye-bye.
Herschel Daniels. Like I'm getting comments from people like, "Oh, this is interesting." I agree, but I'm at the end of the show, and I don't want to rush it.
So go to his social media. Go to his social media. Post your questions. Tune in tomorrow. I'll give you the 411.
Okay. Appreciate it. That's Herschel Daniels, and I'm gonna reach out to you directly, Herschel, via social media, and see if we can't get you on. And unfortunately, family, that is my time. I got to make a move. We've been here since, 7:35 this morning. And here we are after 10. I got a lot of stuff going on today. And I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Please like and in particular share today's show. Also, a shout out to our sponsor, Otis Wellburn Jr. Realtor. You can contact them if you're looking for a dream home at 513-252-1055. All right, that's Otis Wellburn Jr. Realtor. So have an excellent rest of your day, family. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you for checking out this live stream. Look for more from this show and also CDM. We're just getting started. As I said, have an excellent Monday, and we'll talk real soon. I'm Nathan Ivey from a secret location somewhere in Cincinnati, and we'll talk real soon. I'm out.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Yeah. Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a fuck, that's what they don't understand.
I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming down my roof, leaving. Don't give a fuck, I don't care. Did the for my lonesome. No wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share. Get on my God, on my told them it's nothing. In the discussion, for them feelings I throw on my pain on percussion. It's disgusting. I hear them bragging about that they did, and it do not move me, not in the least. They ain't been dropping no seeds in the soil, but swear that you all my spot at the feast. I've been on go mode, show mode, showboat, rowboat, wave ride. Cool shorty, too naughty, pool party, wet for the face ride. Annie up, penny down, hand me down, thrift store, old drip. New money, too funny, old shorty talking about, oh. I'm on they now, can't get a pass now. I'm a cash cow, keeping it brash now. It's trash now, I'm a spaz out. I've been killing my lows and living on highs. You see in the skies the proof. You could just see in my eyes that there is no lies. I cannot disguise the truth. I've been duck dog getting my new merch colored ducks.